Welcome back to the Marvelous Chats podcast. Tonight on the podcast, we have Hofmvn, we have Zaberwolf, aka Alex, and myself, Finto 182. We're going to talk about Boba Fett Episode 6. We're going to talk about a bit of Peacemaker. We're going to talk about some of the rumors and speculation around Doctor Strange 2. So let's bring the boys in, give them a warm welcome. Here they come. Hello, hello.
Hello, Finto. How you doing today, sir?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Or evening for me, should I say?
It's evening over there in Ireland?
Well, it's nighttime, technically, I suppose.
I thought everywhere it was like the sun was still up. What is this?
Yeah,
We live in a flat planet. Stop talking about
what are
this.
time zones? Guys,
That's
happy...
like 10 o'clock, right?
Yeah, it's 10 p.m. for me, yeah.
Oof.
5 for you, right, Hoff?
Yeah, it's about 5 o'clock here.
It's not too bad.
Looking nice.
Not too bad. How was the week, gentlemen?
Ooh, great week. I've been playing Dying Light 2 was released, so I've been had my first day playing that, right? And just what a fantastic game. It's like everything you want a Bethesda game to be, but it actually is. Where Bethesda like lets you down a lot nowadays. The people at Techland who made Dying Light, it's amazing. It feels like a zombie Skyrim, man. I love it.
I've heard a lot of good reports so far. It's only out today, right?
Yep, first day is out today.
Epic.
That's fantastic.
You're always on the games day one, Hoff. I respect it. I respect the grind. Yeah.
Gotta be there, man.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
Speaking of grind, though, like I've been grinding Monster Hunter Rise for a bit. I finally finished all like the village quests. I'm ready to do some multiplayer.
Nice, dude. Nice. Yeah, we played a little bit of it last Friday after the podcast. It's interesting. It's not like really my style of game, but I'm definitely down to run some squads and try and wreck some maps on it. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, myself and Hoff were having a bit of a chat offline, and I think what we would like to do is keep the podcast, obviously with the name Marvelous Chats. We want to try and bring in a bit of Marvel content on during each episode. I understand there's not a lot going on in the Marvel world, so I thought what might be a good Kickstarter for the podcast today is if we maybe throw out a bit of like predictions / like speculation on Doctor Strange 2, because this week there was a good bit of kind of rumor news rocking around the internet, and I wouldn't mind maybe talking about a bit of it, seeing what you guys think. Again, it's all speculation, there's no spoilers here, it's all just kind of up in the air, fanboy dreaming as we call it. So I think it'd be a nice little kind of 20-minute 30-minute start to the podcast, and then we can dip into the content of the week, Boba Fett and so on. So yeah, you guys down for that? Yeah,
Let's get after it.
yeah, sweet. I have a bit of bad news. I haven't seen, and today was just a complete nightmare for me, but I haven't seen Peacemaker this week. So, but I don't mind if we want to cover. We'll do the Marvel part first. We'll cover a bit of Boba, and then if you guys want to, like, the two of you talk about Peacemaker, it doesn't bother me. Like, I'm not gonna mind hearing spoilers. I'll watch it tomorrow. It's no big deal. So yeah, I think like there's been a lot of speculation on kind of cameos and rumored like kind of appearances coming in Doctor Strange 2. So first of all, what would be, I was thinking about this, and I think it's a good one to ask. What's the dream casting or like the dream like appearances for you guys? Like, who would be like top of the list, like, for you if you could have anybody in this movie? And you got to keep in mind that this movie, there's no boundaries. Like, you know, Fox universe is open, Sony, everything animated, probably even, like, you know, it wouldn't surprise me, you know, because I heard a rumor that the Charles Xavier that we're going to get in this movie is actually the Charles from the 97 animated cartoon, but in live action it's him, but in live action, if you get me. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Ooh.
So like like, you know, you could have the Peter Parker from the 94 fucking cartoon, like, technically, or you know, Wolverine from the 97 cartoon run or something. So I don't know who wants to start. Any of you can pick it up first. I don't mind.
Go and be a little bit selfish on this one, like, because definitely And I would say like Colossus, bro. Like I don't know if I talk about it a lot in this podcast, but like Colossus is my favorite mutant.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like part of me thinks because when we were kids, I would play the X-Men video game at the arcade with my brothers. I'd always play Colossus because he was like the big beat 'em up guy. And that would be my character, and I just fell in love with him. And he got so much love in the Deadpool series, but I still don't feel like Deadpool captured like his metal look. Like his metal kind of felt a little soft at times, or looked a little soft.
Yeah.
Like, there's this rigidness to him that I think is missing. Like he looked like his muscles were like so round and stuff. So I would love them to bring a Colossus and like see what the MCU how they would bring in a Colossus and what he would look like. Would he be the X like from the Fox universe? If they brought in the one from the 80s cartoon, I would totally be down for it with those like big shoulder pads, that big like just V thing going on. I'd be all in on that. So I would love to see Colossus come in and do something, man.
Didn't Fox have a version of him like in the original X-Men movies, or am I thinking of somebody else?
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't there? Yeah. And he didn't really have like any sort of a kind of role to play at all in those movies. Like he was really underutilized. I just remember in X2, I think it was when they have to escape the mansion. I'm pretty sure he's kind of leading the escape, and that's kind of it. Like he just kind of disappears after that.
Yeah.
So
and
yeah,
they don't even capture his metal plates right in that one.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of almost have it like liquefy into metal on his skin, liquefy into metal versus like the armor chinking over like shutters, which is the best.
Yeah.
Looks
beautiful.
I prefer what like X2 did with him to what Deadpool did with him. I think
how dare you?
I don't know. I just think he kind of looked a bit cooler, and the fact that he could kind of change him like in and out, I thought was quite cool. Whereas in Deadpool, he just looks like a metal Hulk. Like he's just like real big, and I don't know. I don't know. Like he's just
always walking around giving that accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I preferred the aesthetic of the other one, you know. How would you think the MCU would like? Do you think the MCU brings in the version of him that we've already seen in Deadpool, because we're getting Deadpool into the MCU? So, you know, and now there's rumors as well of Josh Brolin returning as Cable. So, if we're gonna get a Colossus, it's most likely going to be the dude that we've seen already.
Yeah, I think they would bring him in like the Deadpool looking one, but I think they would adjust his suits. I think Marvel would be more inclined to give him like a brighter looking suit with like the red and the gold instead of like black and red.
Right.
And I think they would make him look more shredded. I think one of the things I didn't like about the Deadpool outfit is that like the shirt was like kind of loose fitting on him. And like I like a Colossus that's like you can see him fully cut, you know, like he's that huge hulking super like dude. Like he's massive. He's yoked.
Yeah.
And you can see that through his suit. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that would look fantastic on screen.
Anybody else on your list, Hoff? Like, shout out a few.
Oh, man. I would definitely go, like, I just want to keep in the X-Men universe, Nightcrawler. I would go again for another Nightcrawler appearance.
Yeah.
I think he would work very well. There's no one really in the MCU that kind of has a teleportation thing going on, right? So he could add a whole lot to it.
Morbius looks like he's going to have that sort of power. If you notice that in the trailer. Again, you know, how involved this is in the MCU, it doesn't really matter, I suppose. But yeah, that would be cool. I loved Nightcrawler in X2. Gotta say, X2, I don't know why we're talking about it so much already, but X2 is a fucking amazing movie. Like, it's probably one of the best comic book movies ever made. And
I can go back and watch them, and I know they're not I don't think history has done them that well, like, because I don't think that people think that favorably about them. But I love them, and like I can go back and watch them and not have to explain myself and be like, "Fuck you guys, I love the X-Men no matter what."
I think people our age, those movies will always be special. It's like, you know, if you don't grow up watching those movies, you're not gonna like them. You know, it's the same with Star Wars. It's the same with anything. Like, you know, if someone in their 30s is being introduced to Star Wars for the first time and they watch a movie made in 1977, they're probably going to be sitting there going, what the fuck are you making me watch here? This is terrible, you know? Whereas it's so special to you because you've been watching it since you were a child, you know? And I think X-Men is the same for me. Like, that movie came out in like 99. So like, I was like very young, you know? I was like, Jesus, what was I, 10, maybe 11 years old or something like that? Exposing my age here, but like those movies were just so special. Like Hugh Jackman was amazing, and like, you know, Xavier and Magneto and everything. Like, it was fantastic. I even loved like the Sabretooth and everything. Like, it was really cool movies. And just X2, like that first movie was special, but X2 just came out and just blew that movie out of the water. Like, X2 was just crazy. Like, I loved having like Iceman and Pyro and stuff, like, and just the way the two of them were just like shitsters in school and stuff. I was just like, these guys are cool. And yeah, it was just, it was great, bro. I just love that movie so much. And I've only just finished watching Succession, and I completely forgot that he plays Stryker in it.
Yeah. He's a great striker too.
He is. He's really good. And I was just like, oh my god, it's him, and he looks like so much younger. But X2 is on my Disney Plus. Like, I have X2 on Disney Plus here. And I threw it on just to kind of have a look at him in his earlier life after watching him so much on Succession. And what an actor, bro. Like, he's phenomenal in Succession. Like, phenomenal.
He has such presence.
Yeah, he really does. Anybody else in your list?
I think the last one I would go like way out of left field, and I would say probably Ben Affleck's Batman. I would love to see come in. I just because growing up, I mean, like, you know, I loved the DC versus Marvel comic book like run that they put out. That was like a huge crossover event during like the 90s. I still remember I was probably like 6 or 7 years old when that came out, and I was in the mall like reading that comic book, thinking like how crazy this was, and like seeing all those characters together. So I would like someone from DC, like if they brought over like Batfleck, like how hilarious would that be, man?
They have like mentioned Batman and Superman in the MCU now, so how crazy would it be if there was actually like a kind of, if the multiverse went that deep, like that you could do a cross. I like DC, like, you know, Justice League versus Avengers or something like that. That would be a fucking movie that people would love. You know, I really hope they get to it at some point, but God knows who will be in the DC cast, you know, so
Could you imagine if they did that nowadays, dude? Holy moly.
Like, imagine, jeez, I'm trying to even think, like Thor versus Superman, and like Batman versus Iron Man, and you know, Hawkeye versus Green Arrow. That sort of, like, it'd just be wild, dude. It'd be so fucking cool. Like, honestly, I don't think we'll ever get it, but it would be amazing to see.
I agree.
Yeah, because they have done those crosses in like comics and stuff. Like, they have done like collaborative runs, and it does exist. It is out there. So, you know, I would never say never, but no time soon. That's for sure. Yeah, Alex.
I think we'll get down the line, bro. We will.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Why not? Like, in 10 years'
If
time,
the money's
like,
there.
It's gonna get there.
I think in 10 years' time, when they kind of run out of ideas as well, like when all the iconic comics are done, I think they might like really go out there, like, you know. And I think that's what DC should be doing. Like, you know, DC should be doing an Injustice movie where we see Henry Cavill kill everybody, because like it would just be wild, and it would just be so out there and different. Because, like, you know, not speaking personally, but there's a lot of people that are kind of getting sick of the whole superhero genre. Like, you know, they're thinking that it's oversaturated, it's destroying the movie industry, and I don't agree, obviously, but that's how a lot of like normal people feel. So, you know, I think they need to really start pushing the boat out. Instead of making Spider-Man 5, they do something crazy, like do the Nightmare Realm in DC, or they do Dark Avengers, or, you know, something like that, Thunderbolts, like something where you're focused on bad people and bad shit happens. I just think that's like really needs to happen.
Right.
Really does. Like even just like the after like Infinity War, you know, Infinity War ends on such a terrible note, and I think that really like struck people, because it was like, wow, they lost, you know. Holy God, the bad guy won. And I remember just like thinking to myself, whoa, I can't believe like it ended like that, you know. And it's just the shock factor, because you're so used to seeing the good guys win. It's the classic story, you know, the good guy always wins at the end. But it was just like, nope, not today, sir.
Yeah, I feel like that's part of the saturation, is that like they win all the time. Like, to see them lose is to show how much of a mortal they are compared to, you know, what you usually see them. Like, they're constantly invincible. They get past every obstacle. They overcome everything internally, and then they beat the bad guy. So to see Infinity War do such a good job at showing like how they deal with defeat, like
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah. That's part of the reason
And
why I loved Spider-Man as a kid as well, because, you know, he got his ass kicked all the time. Whereas I could not like Superman as a child, because it was just like, if there's no kryptonite in sight, he can't be beaten, like, you know? So it was just boring to me as a kid. I like Superman now, but I didn't like him as a child at all. Thought he was
Yeah.
so boring.
Sure.
Wasn't that considered the golden ages, where like they would just stop like simple bad guys, thugs and whatnot? They didn't really have too much of a problem. And then when the Silver Age came around during like Batman series, that's when you saw a lot of conflict and things to overcome, and it made it so difficult for the heroes to get through everything. And so like I felt like, I know everybody likes the golden ages for the fact that they introduced all these characters, but I always felt like the Silver Age was the best.
I think you're right about that. And that's when it became like way more interesting, like when Marvel kind of did their thing, right? And made heroes more complex and have like, you know, more sides to them than just beating people up. But I think what Finto's talking about, where like the oversaturation thing, I think like the Peacekeeper show is kind of a sign that we're in oversaturation, where they really deconstruct the superhero. And Suicide Squad a little bit, but really Peacekeeper is where they are like poking fun at their hero.
Yeah.
And even in like Black Widow, where it's like, you know, Black Widow, where her Natasha's sister is like poking fun at her and her superhero landing. Like once they start like deconstructing the genre like that much, it really does feel like that's because it's oversaturated and it's, you know, getting played out, and directors and producers think people are getting sick of it. But then again, Spider-Man is, you know, just about to hit $2 billion. So
Yeah, that's nuts.
I know. Look, you know, and the amount, like, again, like the people that are claiming this are people who, you know, don't watch superhero movies, or they're critics, or they're directors who aren't lucky enough to make superhero movies. Let's be real about this. Like, you know, like someone linked in a article into my Discord during the week, and it was the dude who directed that new Moonfall movie, the one that you're in, Hoffman. And
you too.
The guy who looks like you is in it, and he doesn't really look like you. He just has glasses and a beard. But basically, the guy who directed that movie came out and started shitting on the superhero / comic book genre, saying that it's oversaturated and it's ruining Hollywood. And I'm like, bro, who the fuck are you? Like, you know, if Marvel came to you to direct a movie, you would do backflips. Like, you're going in 100%. Like, there's no way you're turning it down. So, like, it just sounds like jealousy to me. Like, this guy has never been given an opportunity to direct anything by Marvel or DC or do anything on superhero TV or anything like that. So it's like, it just sounds spiteful to me. Like, you know, and Spider-Man is a perfect example. Like, the movie's about to hit 2 billion. It's about to take over Avatar as domestically the highest grossing movie of all time during a pandemic. Like, people love Spider-Man. Like, he's the most recognized superhero in the world, I think. I think they did a poll, and, like, you know, it's Spider-Man, Superman, Batman. They're like the three that are known worldwide by everybody. Like, everyone in the world. I don't think there's a single person on this planet who doesn't know who Spider-Man is. Like, think about that for a second. That's actually scary. Like, 7 billion people on this planet, and if you pop up a picture of Spider-Man, no matter who the fuck you are, you know who they are, unless you're living in a culture that's cut off from society. Like, they're the only people that are not going to know who Spider-Man is, you know, and that's a drop in the ocean. So, yeah, it's not dead, 100% not. But what you've said, Hoffman, is definitely right. You know, when you see them start poking fun and looking for comic relief and poking fun at themselves, you gotta have to ask yourself a couple of questions.
It just can get overwhelming though. Like, as far as the Matrix Resurrections, I remember Hoffman was saying that they poked fun a little too hard. They kind of like, oh, you like the old school stuff,
you dork.
Yeah, and that's when you go too far. Like, it's okay to make fun, but like when you're just outright, you know, making someone feel bad, that's a problem.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, for me, for any characters that I'd like to have, I think X-Men characters are going to be the number one spot.
Everyone's saying X-Men.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and so like I agree with Hofmvn. I would love to see Colossus. When the moment he said Colossus, though, I want to see Kitty Pryde like Shadowcat, and I don't necessarily need to see them in a relationship. I just want to see them as a duo. Yeah. I would love to see them just kind of pop up. I know it'd be kind of weird, but like that would be really fun. I'm a big fan of Iceman.
Oh yeah,
because of his like struggle to become an Omega level mutant. It took him a long time, but he finally made it. And now like he's just super powerful, and I'd love to see that on screen. It'd be cool to see like a big blizzard out of nowhere, and then he just pops out because of like all the craziness that's going on. I
want to see him. I want to see him slide in on it.
Slide in,
yeah. On an ice slide that he just creates. That's my favorite part about Iceman. I love that he does that stuff.
It'd be so fun to see that. And then like I know that not very many people talk about her anymore, but I think Rogue would be fun to have as well, because Rogue has the ability to like drain and take powers. So I think that'd be very useful during that time frame, especially like imagine that all you need to do to make sure that Scarlet Witch doesn't win is to have Rogue like jump on her and just like suck that
just
energy
sneak up behind her and touch her.
Yeah. Plus, you know, Rogue's connection with Captain Marvel, you know, and Miss Marvel. Like there's a huge connection there that they got to establish that somewhere, you know?
Yeah. What did you think of, because I know Rogue in the like 97 cartoon was a badass. Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Super badass.
Big time. But what did you think of her in the original X-Men movies? Like,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
I was just gonna say I thought that it was interesting. Like it was a different take, especially because it was a much younger Rogue. It wasn't like a fully grown Rogue who already knew her business, who already had the white stripe. I thought that Anna Paquin did a really good job playing Rogue, but it was kind of strange seeing her like a little more timid.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I agree with that. Like, you know, she was more timid, but she was a high school student, and every version of Rogue we see is like, you know, a 20-something in your face, and like you don't really. There's not a lot of people who like get that in high school where they're like that, you know. So I feel like if we got to see Anna Paquin's Rogue go through more movies, it would have been a lot more interesting, because she would have gone from being this like timid thing to this like in your face, like you can go screw. Like I think that would have been a really fun journey to go on with that character.
Do you think she would have got there? Like that version of her would have got there? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. She starts hanging out with Logan a little bit, you know what I mean? He starts showing her the ways of go fuck yourself, and she's like, okay, that's how you do it.
Start smoking a few cigars.
Toss back a couple brews.
Yeah.
That's so funny, dude. That's so funny.
How silly would it be though to have Jubilee show up?
I would love it.
It would be cool because, you know, she has the ability to like create fireworks and sparks.
And like, you know, everyone talks about Gambit only being popular because of that TV show. Man, I forgot about Gambit. Gambit is like the one. She's the one that's like really popular because of the TV show. She wasn't that popular at all, I don't believe. Wait, didn't they make her for the show? If I'm remembering that right, I forget now.
I know nothing about her. I'm going to be straight up.
I feel like they may have made her just for the show, like she's a show character. But she like defines that thing. It defines the era of like animation where it's, you know, the cool glasses, the gloves, and she's like larger than life. It's like so 90s, man, or 80s, I guess. Really.
She usually wore the headband too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you mentioned Gambit, I was like, oh my goodness, I would love to see. Yeah, I'd love to see some cards just thrown out of somewhere and then just explode.
Gambit.
In comes in Gambit.
Gambit was definitely the best thing about that X-Men Origins movie. I loved Tyler Kinch's portrayal of him. I thought he was fucking spot on. Really good. Like, he's a great actor. And I thought he put on the best performance in that movie. Like, he was better than Hugh Jackman was in that movie. And I loved the dude who played Sabretooth as well. Your man from Ray Donovan. What's his name?
Oh, yeah, dude.
What an actor. And
he's so good.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
Yeah, what a fantastic performance. And I know I always harp on about it, but the opener to that movie is one of my favorite comic book moments of all time. Watching Logan and Sabretooth go through all the world wars and all, it's just incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Liev Schreiber is the guy who plays him.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic
so
actor,
good.
fantastic actor.
Yeah.
If they were to ever bring a Sabretooth back, I would hope that somehow they can just bring him in some way of doing it through the multiverse or something. I don't care how it happens, just do it. You know, I wouldn't want to see the original dude, even though they're, I suppose, meant to be the same person technically.
Man, I think what we're seeing is, like, are we really interested in Multiverse of Madness, or do they just need to get this X-Men movie here to us? With like, I just want to see X-Men back on the screen, man. Like, I love them so much.
Dude, I think that's what's happening. I think that they had a plan to do mutants in like 5 years, and I think everyone's like, 5 years? Are you joking? Do it now. And I think that's why they did 6 weeks of reshoots for this film, because they realized, okay, the movie's a bit of a mess and there's not a lot going on, and like the vast majority of the reshoots were bringing in new characters. Like, that's wild. So that tells me, I think we're going to get a couple of X-Men, and I think we're going to get like a couple of like the old school X-Men, you know.
I'm in.
Before we continue, I know we were talking a lot about the X-Men characters. What about any Brotherhood characters that you know of, or anybody that's from like the Hellfire Club?
Oh man, like, no one that I would want to see, right? But like, if they brought any of them in, it would be so, you know, so close to like what they do with the Illuminati, and like who would they be interested in, or like the Midnight Suns, like this more supernatural take. Like, those characters, I know they're like mutants and stuff, but they look so much more supernatural than X-Men for some reason, right? Like, they're just so menacing.
They're supposedly supposed to be the outcasts, right? Because they have such a different look about them. Like, especially with Toad and Blob, and, you know, Mystique, and in some cases Magneto. But Magneto is more human-like, but that's why he leads them, because he probably has that perspective of like, I love you for who you are. You know.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like, if they were ever to bring in Mr. Sinister, who is like, we have been deprived of Mr. Sinister in the X-Men movies. Like, he needs to be there. Like, he's such a badass character. Like, I would love to see him. Anyone that's like part of the evil X-Men, because I feel like all we've gotten in terms of evil X-Men are like Magneto, the Sentinels, and Apocalypse, and like that's it. But like, they have such a deep, like, you know, history with so many bad villains that I would love to see more of them.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. For me, you know, I'm going to take a minute and I want to just kind of throw out a few of the speculation and rumors that are popping up at the moment this week, right? And see what you guys think, because for me, if any of these are true, I'm going to fucking lose my mind. Like, they're going to be amazing. So, first one.
Toby, Andrew.
Yeah, yes. That's in the list. Toby and Andrew's return, potentially Tom as well. That's all going to happen. And another one, a juicy one, Leonardo DiCaprio as Peter Parker.
Nah.
From a different, it's a different variant of Peter Parker as Leonardo DiCaprio. That is out there. That's out there. It's a possibility. Also, John Krasinski. We've been talking about him for a long time. Everybody thinks that he's going to be Reed Richards, but apparently he was number 2, like, so close in the running to become Captain America. Chris Evans got it just over him, and apparently rumor has it now that we might actually see a Steve Rogers variant that's John Krasinski. So we might not see him as Reed Richards, but he actually could appear as Steve Rogers.
Ooh, that is tough, man. Like that would be fun. Don't get me wrong, but if we see him there, then he's not going to be in the Fantastic Four movie, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's a difficult one, like, because again, then you could do something like my next example is, and it's another rumor, is that we could have. Rumor is that Chris Evans is going to appear, right? And when he appears, he's going to be dressed like Steve Rogers, and everybody's going to think that he's Steve Rogers, but he's going to say "Flame on." His clothes are going to melt away, and he's going to be wearing the Fantastic Four suit, and it's Johnny Storm. So, like, that would be wild.
Like, kind of like a joke.
Yeah, but like, not well. We would consider it a joke, but it's not a joke because it's just Johnny Storm. Like, you know, it's not Steve Rogers. So like, that shift to me would be absolutely fire. I would love that. Also, there was a kind of leak, and I think it's fake, but there was a picture that was apparently shown from one of the screens that they did, one of the test screenings, and it's a picture of the cast list, and some of the people in the cast list is just fucking ridiculous. Like, it's crazy. Like, Halle Berry and everything as Storm, like back as Storm, like original X-Men, original like Fox X-Men, original Reed Richards from the original Fantastic Four movie, all that sort of stuff. Absolutely wild. What would you think if they started doing like crazy stuff like that? Like,
I mean,
is that a yay or a nay? Is that a good thing or a bad thing to you? Like, do you think? Yeah,
I think we need it.
I think they're playing a dangerous game in a way because it's almost too much, right? You know, it's amazing, and I think this is kind of how we're feeling. Well, it's definitely how you're feeling, Hofmvn, about like Star Wars and stuff. I think it's too much fan service at the moment, and I think this could be they're playing kind of like they're playing like jump rope with it or whatever way you want to say it. But like they're very dangerous. They're dangerously on the cusp of ruining a movie because they're going too far, you know?
Right. And they know they can get huge box office numbers by teasing people and like cameos out of people, right? And
yeah.
But I don't see them doing this movie where it's like if Halle Berry comes in, I don't think she's going to be on screen for more than like 5 seconds. I feel like all these like little cameos will be like in a sequence where Doctor Strange is jumping through the multiverse very quickly. And like he's going to this one and like he gets sucked back out of it. But while he's inside of it, he sees Tom Cruise as Iron Man. And Tom Cruise like looks at the camera and then like he's pulled back out of that universe and has to go to another one. Like I think it's going to be like really snappy moments. And if they just do all of this for like a 5-minute sequence, I think it really works. But if it's where, it feels like a Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure where, he's going to pull together Storm and Iron Man from different universes to do this, I don't think it's fun. I don't think it works.
So
yeah,
what I heard. Go ahead, Alex.
Sorry, go.
No, you.
I was gonna say that'd be too much of a Battle World situation where we would get, Secret Wars.
I think that's coming, dude. I think they're doing Battle World. I think that's the next event. Like that's the next Infinity War.
Yeah.
Like that's the return of the Russo brothers, So I don't think that they do something like that here. I think what they're going to potentially do, and the Illuminati's being thrown around a lot. And I think what they're going to do is Strange is going to have to, my prediction, Strange is going to have to assemble a team of people to fight Wanda because Wanda's going to be too powerful. She's going to go off the rails. She's going to go full Vader. She's going to try and kill everybody. So Strange is going to put a team together of Avengers from different universes, variants of Avengers. So we'll have Krasinski's Captain America, we'll have Tom Cruise's Iron Man, we'll have all these different people showing up, Johnny Storm, but it's Chris Evans and stuff like and I think he's going to compile an Avengers team and lead it himself, and I think that's how we get a lot of these cameos coming in, but that they're going to be there for a good bit of the movie. But I think what you're saying could be correct. Like for example, Hugh Jackman there's a rumor that he's expressed interest in doing Secret Wars, right? But I think if they were to get him in now, they could potentially use a bit of old footage of him, or like use his likeness or something like that. Or maybe he just appears for a quick second. Like I would love them to nearly recreate the whole, when he tells like James McAvoy to fuck off when he's in the bar. I'd love them to kind of like maybe poke fun at that and recreate that. Maybe that'd be a really cool kind of cameo for him. But like if they bring Jackman back, like I would hope that he's gonna be able to like get the claws out and actually do something. Like I just don't want him to kind of stand in the background. Like it'd feel kind of wasted. But I think you're right. I think we might get a good bit of that. Like if they're going so deep with all of these cameos, they can't give everybody screen time, otherwise the movie will be fucking 6 hours long. So like there is gonna have to be a lot of kind of just hopping around, and we'll see like quick glimpses of old cast or whatever.
Yeah, and they're playing off this whole idea of what Spider-Man did, right? Like with this thing, and Spider-Man was like such a unique instance where that worked in like a very specific, narrow way that could work, because like you wanted to buy into it because of your love for Tobey and Andrew, and it being like one character in the Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, and like we've seen so many different versions of Spider-Man from different people. Whereas with Wolverine, we've seen like one Wolverine, so does it like work as well? I don't know if this idea works as well as Spider-Man, and I just kind of hope they don't like jump the shark on this idea of the multiverse and seeing different characters or different variations of characters. because I really do believe it's only exciting if we have characters in the MCU to ground them to. Like, if we had a Wolverine already and then we see a Wolverine variant, I think that's more interesting than us just seeing Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that completely. And I think this is a great opportunity for them to actually implement all of the returning characters for their series and movies, because when you think about it, when we saw that, Toby and Andrew on screen, everyone's now talking and thinking that, there's a possibility that they're going to get another movie. Now those are still just rumors, but like, imagine if you see like Ghost Rider, if you see Daredevil, if you see, the Punisher out of nowhere, like they could just be nods, even if they're just like zip by and you see them for a second. They could be nods saying that like we are aware that these characters still exist and we want to move forward with them in the future because we want to acknowledge them.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Hope Marvin nails this, man. Once again, it's just like the Spider-Man movie. Like, this is such a high wire act for them to pull off that it's either like a complete bust, like we've heard the first screening was of this movie for the first test group, or it's a success, which is like the second test group. But those could have just been different people. So, like, who have different levels of excitement for multiverse stuff.
Yeah. So, again, I think I did mention this before, but there was a kind of toy leak for Doctor Strange. I don't know if you guys remember me talking about this, but they basically released, or someone got an early release of a Doctor Strange toy, and he was called Defender Strange. Like, that's the name of the toy. And I know there's a multiverse version of Doctor Strange where he is basically the leader of the Avengers, but they are called the Defenders, and they think that there's going to be a variant of Strange in this movie, Defender Strange, they're going to call him. So there's multiple Benedict Cumberbatches in this film. We've already seen 2 in trailers. I think there's going to be more. And that Strange is compiling a team of multiverse Avengers to take on Wanda. Dream team, who would you have in your Avengers team? Pick 6 heroes to go against Wanda. Like, who are you bringing?
I mean, definitely Strange is probably one of the biggest people you want to play or bring, because, he may not be as strong as Wanda in terms of like the magic he can do, but he's definitely smarter than her. And so he can be more clever with what he does. And he maybe like outfox her in a way. I would also, bring Hawkeye. That'd be my secret weapon. Hawkeye's in there because
they always win.
Hawkeye's with Hawkeye, you never know. And he has a connection with Wanda, Yeah, I think if he's not in this movie, it's a shame because him and Wanda have always had this little connection between the two of them in a way. And if he's not there, like, he should have been in WandaVision in some form. And like, he needs to be there.
Yeah. I would bring 5 variants of Captain Marvel.
That's cheating.
Jesus.
I'm joking.
Please,
I would never do that.
With these Disney writers, you'll just need 1.
Yeah, true.
That's all you'll need.
I think that it'd be Strange. Agatha Harkness from a different universe. You could have maybe Thor. Because anything that's mystical and magical might be able to go up against her. Spectral Vision for sure, just for like the sentimental moments, showing like you don't have to do this kind of situation. And then some ground warriors, like maybe, add Wolverine, add Hulk, add anybody that can be on the ground, because everyone else seems to be able to fly.
You gotta have a Steve Rogers. You gotta have a Steve Rogers on the ground, right?
Yeah,
at least to direct things.
Yeah.
Can we bring one of her kids? Can we?
Yeah.
They be on the team?
Like an adult Wiccan or
Wiccan would be cool.
That's what we need. Got him.
Whew.
Do you really think she's gonna be the villain of this thing, or like what do you? Because who was the name of the other guy who was the villain, or like the one who was really mad with Doctor Strange?
Mordo.
Yeah.
Mordo. Yeah. Like, you don't think he's gonna be the villain of this?
No, I think Wanda's the big bad. Yeah. I think there's going to be like a story that we start off with, maybe an initial threat, and then I think he's going to go and look for Wanda's help with the multiverse, and she's going to go full bad. I think she's gonna just be too deep into the Darkhold, and away she goes. And I think it's compelling story. It's a character who we've grown to kind of love in the movies since Avengers 2, and now she's proper going dark side, you know. I think it's going to make for some great storytelling, and then, you know, maybe in the end of it, she ends up finding versions or variants of her kids and bringing them into the main storyline, and that might just, like, calm her down or whatever, and then she's kind of just reverts back or whatever, or, I don't know. Ghost Rider comes along and takes the Darkhold. Nicolas Cage. He's on the rumor list.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, Cage is on the rumor list, guys. This is official.
I would love to see Nick Cage. Yeah,
I would love to see him as well. I think it's hilarious.
I don't think he did a bad job playing Ghost Rider. I think the script was just weird.
Yeah,
like
it was the wrong time to release that movie, in my opinion. That movie was before its time. You know, I think if he did something like that now, after we've had like Punisher and that sort of stuff, I think you could get away with doing it a lot darker and making it a lot more serious, and I think it would work a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they bring Ghost Rider in, like they're gonna do the full Nicolas Cage version for the MCU Ghost Rider, where he's on a motorcycle, or do you think they do like the modern one where he's more so driving around a car now?
I think weren't they two. I don't really know a whole lot about Ghost Rider, but weren't they two different characters that got the curse? So Johnny Blaze is the biker. He's the Daredevil, like the fucking the Daredevil dude. And then there's what's his name? I can't think of the other guy's name.
I can't either. I just know he drives around in like a old muscle car.
I think they do the Johnny Blaze one. Like I think they go old school, like, you know, bring him in like the first interpretation of him. And then maybe expand on it in the future, but yeah.
There's an Avengers run where they go back in time, like back to like the caveman era, where they have like Odin there fighting on Earth as Thor, right? Like in the Avengers, and they have a Ghost Rider there who's got a flaming woolly mammoth. This is right. It's the fucking best, man.
That's epic, dude. I love it.
I love it.
I hope we start getting some really weird shit going on, you know. I think it's time to kind of break from the norm. I think it kind of keeps people interested, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that what's going to happen with Mordo is that he's going to think that there's no way to defeat Scarlet Witch except through Dormammu, and so he goes to make a bargain with him, but in return, Mordo becomes the avatar of Dormammu. And so basically you see him like with the giant cloak, with the flaming head, and he just like, he looks like a badass, but he's too powerful. And then it turns out like Scarlet Witch needs to turn herself around in order to defeat him. Or maybe it's just become too chaotic in the world and they need to stop both of them at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I can see that, man. You know, then bringing back Dormammu, like he is such a huge character in Strange, right? And for him to like just be one and done in the villain definitely seems like it's gonna be a case. But I think like Mordo looks fierce in this, and I just think he's like the big bad, and I think that we're gonna have a scene where Wanda's like breaking down, and like Strange has to like pull her back in, where she's not like the villain, but she loses control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I just don't see them bringing Mordo back for no reason.
Exactly.
What do you know?
I wouldn't mind.
Maybe
I wouldn't
Bruce
mind.
Campbell's the villain.
Oh my god, I would love Bruce Campbell to show up. Like it being a Sam Raimi movie, I think we're definitely getting Bruce in there somewhere. He'll be in there somewhere, but just I hope he has like a big part. Imagine
he's gonna show up as Mysterio, bro.
Mysterio, yeah,
Mysterio, yeah, like 100%.
I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I would say that was one of the first things that Raimi said, because you know the way like they were so close to making Spider-Man 4, he had a script written and everything. So they were I'd say he's gonna take as much of that script as he can and inject it into that movie. Oh, it's wild. I wouldn't mind getting the chat involved in this. Like, guys, if you want to pop into the chat, some people that you want to see in Doctor Strange 2, and we'll have a chat about them. If anybody wants to participate from the chat.
I'm really curious about America Chavez in this whole thing. I think they teased her a little bit. The next trailer will probably have like more scenes with her in the actual trailer. Because as far as I know, I don't know a great deal about America Chavez. I just know that she can punch star-shaped portals into other multiverses. Like
Yeah.
she literally is shaped as a star.
Well, Wanda is apparently going to be tracking her down to take the power.
Oh,
So
that's the deal?
yeah, and then because that's what she wants. She wants to start multiverse hopping to find her kids.
Interesting.
Wanda's out of control. I don't know. Like, she's got to get someone to sit her down and be like,
Yeah,
what's going on here, Wanda? You're
that
breaking the multiverse for 2 kids who aren't even really yours.
yeah. That was all in your head, Wanda.
Yeah. It's all in your
Yeah,
head,
man.
Wanda. Calm down.
They just have a big intervention with her. They sit her down in a bunch of like a circle of chairs.
Yeah. Like, everyone is like going off on, U.S. agent for killing one dude. Wanda's literally breaking apart the universe for 2 imaginary kids that she knew for 5 minutes.
And
Like,
Peter Parker split it open just to to make everybody forget that his secret identity's out. So yeah, we're in a wild place right now. That's for sure.
I really do want a more grounded MCU movie after this, though, because it's so wild. Like, I want a grounded MCU that's going to show us like where the path of forward for this whole entire, deal of the connected universe. Because I just don't see something like I need like a Captain America again, or I need more rather like an Iron Man 1 again, where it shows us kind of the way that this is going.
I think we're gonna have a couple of different like subdivisions of the MCU. Like I think we're gonna get the street level guys like Daredevil and Punisher and Captain America and maybe Bucky back, and that sort of like level of threat, or like they'll deal with like Kingpin or something. And then we're gonna have the Avengers, and then we might have like the people out in space. I think there's going to be 3 kind of subdivisions going on because the universe is just getting so big now. They can't have everybody like running around in the same universe. I don't think.
Yeah,
It's just
that's true.
It's too big. It's too big. It would be great, obviously, but like, is every movie going forward gonna have like 20 Marvel characters in it? Like, it's gonna seem like it's a bit too much. Like,
For sure, but they could have a little bit more structured about what's going on. Like, I wish that by this point we would have gotten like the next meetup of like a basic team, right? Like, because I feel like we had 4 Marvel movies and then we had the Avengers, and now we're in Phase 4, and it feels like we've had 5 movies and like 3 TV shows, and we still don't know like the team that's coming together in any sense. It's just
where the
kind
fuck
of
is Sam Wilson?
Right.
Where is Captain America? What is he doing?
yeah. And even we don't. What I think what a lot of people forget about the Avengers is the thing that we like a lot about these characters didn't come from like their own movies and stuff. Like the Avengers and Josh Whedon, absolutely can go screw himself. But what he really did was create a team, and like he put in characters who weren't established in their own movies. Like the Hulk came in as a deal. And like he brought them together, and he made moments for those characters that actually defined who they were moving forward in their own franchises. And so I feel like we're missing that big connecting piece since Endgame, and it's just like Spider-Man's had 2 movies, and we haven't had like a meetup of other people. That's kind of weird to me. That's just weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and we've been making comments the whole time for the last year. We've been saying, where's the connective tissue? Like, why are they not doing crossovers anymore? What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
The only person to appear in multiple projects is Val, recruiting the Thunderbolts. Like, that's been really it. And that's kind of
Doctor
crazy.
Strange. I would say Doctor Strange is getting there.
Wong, actually, he's been
Wong.
Wong.
He's been popping like loads. But yeah, like there's no. Yeah, like I don't know. Like where was Spider-Man during Hawkeye? Where was Doctor Strange during WandaVision? Where was Sam Wilson during Spider-Man? Like it's like these guys like could easily be making like quick pit stops in to like check on people or see if they need any help or whatever. But
yeah, and you don't want them to be there to solve the problem for the hero, but like a quick assist, from Falcon for like 5 minutes within the Spider-Man thing, and then Tom Holland's like, "Hey, I got this. Like, I don't need you." Like in a better dialogue than that, obviously. But like
Yeah.
He's like, "I got this. You don't need to be here for this." And so Wilson flies out. He's like, "All right, I believe in you," and he goes.
Yeah,
Definitely. Like one good mid scene with them. You don't even have to show their faces if they're masked characters. And then if they didn't succeed, they could say, "I'm sorry, I didn't." but I have to go now. Like I did my best to help you, but I need to get back to my hometown and help my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like, and again, this is not really me taking a shot at Sam Wilson, but like, just using him as an example because we're talking about him right now. But
Here we go.
I'd love to see him come into like Spider-Man, right? But like get the shit kicked out of him by Electro or something. And he comes in, he gets beaten, and this can be used for anybody. But it would be cool to see him come in, get beaten, and then like Tom's like, look, retreat. I'll take care of it. Like, these are our villains. Like, we know these guys back to front or whatever. But it would be cool to see that, like, you could use it for anybody. Make a bookie instead of Sam.
Yeah, nice save, Finto.
We
believe you.
Oh.
Oh no, Kingpin fucking punched Sam to death. Oh no, I'm so upset.
I'm really excited for Multiverse of Madness, though. It feels crazier than Spider-Man, right? Because the possibilities feel way more open-ended.
Yeah.
I feel like it's because of the success of Spider-Man, they feel emboldened to do whatever they want, and they're just gonna fully send it.
I think they are too, and like even I haven't even spoke about like half of the rumors that I've heard, but one of them that I think sounds crazy is multiple Hulks, variant Hulks. So Edward Norton, Lou Ferrigno,
Eric Bana,
Mark Ruffalo. I don't think Eric Bana has been mentioned, but yeah, bring them all. Could you imagine?
I'm okay with that.
I think it'd be crazy. It'd be wild, dude.
You didn't like Eric Bana's Hulk? Come on, bro. I thought he looked good.
He was massive. He was so
It was too
huge.
early for its time.
It was. Like, that was like 2003, bro. It was way too early.
Yeah.
Very smooth skin Hulk. Like, it was pretty weird.
Yeah.
What's up? You think because he's big, he's not supposed to have like beautiful skin?
I mean, he's supposed to be ripped. Like, every part of his body is supposed to be like so dynamically like muscular.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think Gabe in the chat. I don't think Edward Norton will be back. I don't think so either. But maybe for a payday, like he could definitely pop in. Like,
it's been time.
That's the time for people like that though to make the appearance. Like, where it's a crazy story that doesn't need to make any sense whatsoever, and people could just pop back in, like, and just have fun on set for a couple of days. I think this is if Edward Norton would ever consider doing it, this is the time. Like, and same with Banner and everything. Like,
but even then, like, you could just have Hulk pop in. You don't even have to have the actors pop in. Don't worry about paying them. Just pay for the
CGI times. Work.
yeah. Just have the Hulks pop in. You're not my Hulk. Kind of situation.
Yeah, or you have the Hulk pop in, and then we see like Mark Ruffalo's Banner, but he's human, and it's like, hang on a second, what the hell's going on? That'd be a really cool shot. Like, it's just like you see Hulk smashing up stuff, and it's like, oh, Banner's at it again, and then like he's like, excuse me, like, he turns around, he's like, what did I do? I think that'd be a really good
tacos or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be so funny, dude. I'd love that. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I think it's going to be just a wild movie. I'm really looking forward to it. I know. Have you really heard much about Thor? Just to kind of talk about other movies from this year that are coming.
Not really. Thor's been under wraps, man. They got a pretty tight lid on that, I think. Outside of like the poster that got leaked and a little bit of the concept art for like his Rune King Thor, I think the plot for it's been pretty closed up. We've seen some shots of his arms, whatever, but other than that, no. I know nothing.
I saw there was a picture that was released. I think it was concept art for Jane Foster, and you see the hammer, and it's like been reforged, and there's all cracks in it and everything. It looks beast. Looks great.
Yeah, which I think
can't wait.
Touched on it, and I just love that. I thought she was going to be from a different multiverse because Mjolnir was destroyed, so actually having it like be put back together, is actually pretty interesting. I'm excited for her, Natalie Portman, to come back. I want to see what they do with her Thor, and what they do with Chris Hemsworth and that Thor. Like,
yeah,
how are they going to juggle this? Is he really going to retire? What are they going to do with New Asgard? And Valkyrie, because we know from Spider-Man, like the news ticker down low, like not things aren't going that well apparently.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So,
Also, something that people aren't talking about at all, which actually I heard mentioned on another podcast, but Christian Bale is going to be like the main villain of this film, and no one's talking about it. Like, Batman is going to be the main villain of this movie, and nobody seems to be talking about it. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. It's
yeah,
wild.
Christian Bale is like such a huge get for a villain,
Yeah.
and when they talk about how Marvel movies are ruining the movie business, you have people like Christian Bale who, is one of the most serious actors, one of the most highly respected actors in Hollywood, taking on
Mm-hmm.
the roles. And he's playing Gore the God Butcher, which is
Yep.
such a fucking great character, and it's a great comic book run of Thor. And I love that they're going to do that series, and it's gonna be brutal, man. Like it's gonna be a rough movie for people who like Thor. If Gore the God Butcher is around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be so fun to see Christian Bale on screen and Russell Crowe, right? Like being
Mhm.
attacked by Christian Bale's character.
Yep.
And it's just like that's gonna be so cool to see Russell Crowe and Christian Bale in the same scene.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if we've ever seen that before.
No, I don't think we have.
Yeah.
That's gonna look great.
And the two of them are going to be like, looking godly. So like,
Yeah.
they're going to be looking buff. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's not like
Mhm.
I think like I haven't seen any like set photos. I don't know what Christian Bale's looking like nowadays because like he can go from being a big boy to being like a rake.
Yeah.
He's one of the most fascinating like actors out there. Like what he can do with his body is absolutely terrifying. Like
Yeah.
seeing him going from like the machinist to being like 55 kilos to being like 86 kilos of pure muscle like a year later for Batman is just like it's unnatural. It seems impossible. It's insane. So like I presume he'll probably shred down and bulk up for it. Like he's gonna look great.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, dude.
And I know I've seen some on-set photo stuff from him, and I expect it to look even better because like he's just covered in everything that's white. Like that's kind of Gore.
Yeah.
But then he's got this really just black cape that wraps around him and stuff. And once they get that CG effect rolling with it, like I cannot wait to see Gore on screen. I think it's gonna be look wild, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really looking
Does
forward
Gore
to
have a hat?
He has a cloak, like a hood he puts over. He has like a black hood.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
And he's got like two tentacles that come out from underneath the hood. I think they're tentacles. Yeah, they're like tentacles or something like that that come down. And Gore, his story is so good because he's fits right into great villains who kind of have a reason, who have a really good motive for being the way they are. And I
Mhm.
think that if this is where we kind of leave Thor, like we're leaving Thor as one of the best villains, I think that's ever come through Marvel in terms of why he is the way he is, why he's so powerful, and why he hates why they call him the God Butcher, why he hates God so much. Like I love the story of Gore, and they're gonna leave Thor on such a good note if they do it right.
Mhm.
Hell
Well,
yeah.
it kind of makes me worried though because we left off on a kind of a silly note with Thor Ragnarok. So is it going to be silly for a bit? Are we going to just have the Dark World again,
Mm.
or do you think they're just going to have a mixture? That's going to be the scary part.
I think that like anything that involves the villain side, I think Taika Waititi is pretty good about balancing it. Where nothing with like Hela was ever that comical, right? Like whenever
Oh,
she was
yeah.
on screen, it was serious. It was
Yeah.
I'm here to fucking wreck your world.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say I think it will be like very like Ragnarok because Taika's involved, and I think it'll have a very much the same vibes and same flavors. But I think you're dead right. When that movie is serious, it's serious. It's amazing. So yeah.
One question before we continue though. We're talking about Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher. We know that Russell Crowe is going to be Zeus, and we know that we're going to have Chris Hemsworth. We're going to have Jane Foster with Natalie Portman. So where do the Guardians of the Galaxy fit in? Because either they're going to be around or they're going to kick him out of the ship. So what do you think is going to happen?
Quick question before we answer that: Was Guardians 3 meant to come out before? Did they change the release structure or something like that? Was there something did happen, right? Like, as far as I'm aware, Guardians 3 was meant to be out first, and we would have seen Thor with the Guardians first, but now we're getting Thor's movie first. So honestly, it sounds like a bit of a mess. I don't even really like thinking about Guardians right now, because it just seems like it's kind of a shitstorm that's gathering, like, because I would have presumed, with how we left things, that he went off with the Guardians. They would have had a movie together, or maybe, Hemsworth's in an hour of that movie or something like that, and then he kind of says, right, okay, I gotta go back to Earth, I gotta check in on New Asgard or whatever, and then he's gone, and then we get his movie, But I don't know how they're going to do that now. Like, do you think the Guardians are going to be showing up at the start of, like, Thor, Love and Thunder? Like, they're going to be at the start of it? Or do you just think they just kind of continue with the same storylines that they have in place, but maybe they leave it open to Thor being able to be in the movie after, if that makes sense?
Well, first off, it did get kind of pushed back because James Gunn got fired from Disney.
Yeah.
He got fired for some tweets from like 12 years ago or something.
I remember.
Back when everyone was trying to be edgelords on Twitter.
Yeah.
And so that's why everything got reshuffled. But I do know that we have seen stills of Thor and Peter Quill together. So I think Peter Quill is going to be in a decent portion of this film. Probably not like the whole thing, but maybe, the first 20-30 minutes of it. He's there. I think, we don't need the full Guardians team for this. We've kind of had the Guardians team split up a little bit before, and knowing James Gunn, he might actually use that as like a plot point to drive his movie and set things up. So I could see Peter Quill being gone from them for a little bit.
Yeah, because like, if you think about it as well, like, from what we've seen, like, Rocket looks like he's part of the Avengers now. He's messing around with, like, Captain Marvel and the Hulk and everything. So yeah, it seems like he's like an Avenger, like. So maybe the team has split up. My presumption was those shots that we saw were actually from the Guardians movie, but like, I think was there a crossover in filming? I'm not too sure.
I don't think so.
Guardians is filming now, right? Or
I don't know, but
your one who plays,
I think it's in production right now.
Your one who plays Gamora has been putting up like Instagram stuff of her like sitting in the makeup chair, and also like she's getting dressed up for Gamora. So I'm curious how long. I know the exact. I can picture the exact photos that you're talking about in my head. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I don't remember when did those come out. Like, that were a couple of months ago, right?
Yeah, pretty long time ago.
Yeah.
And Thor was looking straight up 80s, with his hair and his like cut off shirt and his jeans. So I'm expecting that to be kind of in the Thor movie, because it's got like that 1970s rocker vibe going on. And I would assume that they're filming the Christmas special right now for Guardians, because they got the Christmas special coming out this year, and Guardian comes out either next year or the year after.
How long is the Christmas special?
I don't know. We don't have much information on it other than it's coming out this year in December, I believe, right?
That's crazy.
I mean, if it's just for fun, you would think that maybe about 2-hour runtime would be the max.
Yeah.
I would say it's just like an hour long of them singing stuff,
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I'm kind of surprised that it's going to be required viewing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic Gun though, right?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. We're past the hour mark, so I don't know if you want to move on to Boba Fett now.
Sure.
I think we.
Sure.
That was a very marvelous chat there about the upcoming Marvel stuff. Yeah, man, it's exciting. It is exciting. Like, we've got a lot still to come. Like, March is going to be a crazy month.
Yeah, March is going to be huge, and because we're going to get Doctor Strange, we're getting Batman in March.
The Halo TV series is in March as well.
Halo TV series, and then I'm sure they're going to Moon Knight.
Moon Knight's at the end of the month. Batman's at the start of the month. Yeah. And then
it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's really funny when you think about it, because Moon Knight is supposed to be like the Marvel version of Batman.
Exactly.
We see you, Kevin Feige. We see you.
Yeah, we know what you guys
That dude is so petty. Did we ever answer Alex's question?
Oh, no. Of whether they would like like, well, you sort of did. I mean, you were thinking that maybe they stick around with Thor during the movie, but I was thinking like, what if they just kicked him out because he's being too rowdy or something, or if he gets, or it could be like the events after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, where he just gets dropped off in New Asgard and then things go down.
See, I think Thor's gonna be hitting on Gamora, and Gamora's gonna be into it, and Peter's gonna be pissed off.
She's gonna be
and he's gonna kick him off on a different planet.
She's gonna be rubbing those muscles again.
Yeah.
Stop touching the god.
Even Drax was into him.
Yeah. This is Drax's last movie as well, right?
Allegedly, right?
Yeah. I think
who knows?
I think it's the end of his contract, and he's not renewing, as far as I know.
Yeah, and I know James Gunn put out a statement pretty late. I don't know if he like tweeted it or what. It was in an interview, but he like said that this is the last time you're going to see this group of Guardians together.
Yeah, and he's gone too. He's going exclusively to DC after this.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they're giving him more free reign than Marvel is willing to give him, right?
And his lady is an actress for DC as well, so like he's definitely going to be hanging around there.
Yeah, he's going to write Superman into the plot so he can see his girlfriend make out with Superman.
I really think it's a necessary change though, because James Gunn is doing such a fantastic job so far, and it'd be nice to see that talent go into DC and try to fix a few things up.
For sure.
They don't need any help at DC. They're fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
They're going good.
They just butchered the Snyderverse. Don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all good. Fuck the Snyderverse. Let's bring in J.J. Abrams. He did such a great job in Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Like it's not like Finto has foregone the extended universe. It's just Snyderverse now. It's
Snyderverse is all that matters to me, dude. Because if you think about it, the DCEU is just the Snyderverse right now. There's no new characters that are not Snyderverse right now. It is just the Snyderverse, technically. Now, where it is in a couple of years, yes, different. But right now, you could say the Snyderverse is dead all you want, but the Snyderverse is the DCEU right now. Fact. Like, sure, they're coming out and saying that, like, Aquaman 2 is a direct sequel to the Snyderverse.
What a mess, bro.
Yeah, and they've said that the Flash will retcon Joss's cut of the Justice League. So obviously there's going to be references to the Snyder cut in that movie. So yeah, like they're canonizing it, but saying it's cancelled at the same time. They don't even know what's up and what's down. Like it's again, I don't want to talk about Warner Brothers, man. It'll piss me off, but the company are upside down, bro. Like they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like I think if the three of us sat in there and started making decisions, we'd have that company running better than them. And I've never done any of that shit in my life, and I guarantee I could have that fucking company running better than them.
Well, I'm not doing anything, so
and making more money, guaranteed. I could have them making more money easily.
Yeah, a lot of these CEOs over there just seem like they want to be right more so than they want to make money.
Yeah,
it's a pissing contest at this stage. Like, it's a fucking joke. But yeah, let's talk about Boba Fett, because as people know, myself and Hofmvn do a review of the episode every week. It's on YouTube now if you want to listen to it or watch it. And I'm always excited on Fridays to get Alex's take on the episode. Talk to me, Alex. Tell me all.
Well, I had a strong feeling that we were at least going to see Cobb Vanth back. At least a few of the Mandalorian characters.
I do remember you saying this.
Yeah, I really wanted to see some of those characters come back, because it would fit well with, helping out Boba. Because just because you have the Mandalorian doesn't mean that you're going to win. True. It just means that you'll have people to talk to. So seeing Cobb Vanth, seeing him being like looking like a Wild West Marshal, much like he was Raylan Gibbons, like in Justified. I thought that was so cool.
It was.
Everything that was in the episode felt good. It didn't feel weird. It didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel, out of place. It was enjoyable, and it was relaxing, especially, at the moment where we think we see some rubble being like picked up with force powers, but it's actually like these droids that are like taking the stones over to make the temple.
Yeah.
Which to me, it seems like they are going to canonize, the Last Jedi. which it's fine. Maybe they'll change it up a little bit later, but it is nice to see that kind of growth of like where Luke decides to build his temple and how he's handling Grogu at the time. And I really think that with everything going on, I really enjoy the fact that the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, he's actually like giving the coolest moments in terms of like relationships. Like when you think about it, when you're a Jedi, you forego any sort of relationships, you forego any feelings, you have to be very neutral about yourself in order to master the ways of the Force. Excuse me. And there's this conflict now because he was picked up and he was a foundling among Din Djarin, and so like he can be considered a member of the Mandalorians, which is why he's so connected with him because of all the things that they had together, and that's why he makes the armor for him. And so I think it's really crazy that Luke is giving him this option to like either choose family or choose like a life of solitude. But I still think it's a test. I still think that it's going to be a moment where I believe Grogu is going to pick the armor.
Oh, yeah.
But even doing so, Luke might see how that's beneficial and that he could still be a Jedi while also being a Mandalorian in a sense.
Yeah.
And so like it could be that, and then he gets the green saber that was from Yoda's, or there's speculation that over time he's going to acquire the dark saber, which I think would be really strange and a kind of a ballpark chance, but who knows? Because it seems like only a Mandalorian who has force powers or is force sensitive can really handle the dark saber.
Do you
Yeah,
think
maybe. But I think Jin just needs to like settle himself and like learn how to use it, right? Because we have seen people without like force sensitivity, I think, wield it.
Yeah.
It's just
You're right.
their mind just can't be wandering, right? They can't be, it shows that Jin is thinking about Grogu, and that's why he can't wield it. Is because his thoughts are scattered, and so I think that we're going to be in a place where Grogu is with the Mandalorian, and because he's with him in that little, the baby in the little seat on the N1 starfighter, he's going to be actually able to wield the darksaber effectively and like be a force or not want to say force because it's Star Wars, just be a absolute like just murder with that thing.
Mm-hmm. I can agree with that because of the fact that his loss of family in a sense because he gave Grogu away is in fact clouding his mind, and that was one of the first things I thought when he was when the darksaber was getting heavier. And I do love the fact that it gets heavier as you swing it. Like that's a really cool aesthetic for that type of saber. We've never seen that before. Like all lightsabers are very light. They're nimble. Like you don't really, you don't need heavy hands to like pick it up. This one literally is light until like you're fighting with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool. I love it.
Do you think Grogu ever grows to a size where he can actually use the darksaber? It's fucking massive.
Probably not.
I don't think he'll ever even grow into... It'll take him like 900 years to grow into Yoda's fucking lightsaber. Like, I think he's going to make his own lightsaber, to be honest. Just from what we've seen with those like officially licensed posters of Luke and Grogu, and he's holding like the yellow kyber crystal and stuff. I really think he's going to make his own lightsaber, but I think I think what you're saying is right. He's going to pick the Mandalorian, and he's going to go back and be with Din Djarin for a couple of seasons, maybe, and maybe he never becomes a Jedi. I don't know. Like a lot of people are speculating that maybe he's wearing the mesh, and that's why he doesn't get killed by Kylo at the destruction of the temple. But maybe he wasn't there at all because he became a Mandalorian, and he was never a Jedi. He's just a Mandalorian who can use the Force. It's wild. It's wild.
I mean, it could also be that the test that Luke is giving him is like, if you choose family, I will still give you the lightsaber.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing, Yeah. There's nothing more important than family in this kind of situation, especially when you see that Luke, during his time at like growing as a Jedi, was searching for his father, which is kind of it's one of those moments of where like it's so strange that you're trying to give these two options when you were trying to reconnect with your father, which is like kind of like a sentimental and emotional kind of moment. Like you could have turned to the dark side at any point because you're letting your feelings like go through you.
Yeah. But like we were talking about this in our review, I brought this up, so it's gonna be kind of old hat if anyone's listened to that before. Me just kind of repeating myself. I think Luke, it is like the test Luke's giving him. The correct answer for Luke is him choosing attachment and him choosing the shirt that Mando brought to him, is because Luke does not believe in the old ways of the Jedi. He doesn't believe in the way because he saw what the old ways of the Jedi did and led his father to the dark side. So to him, the entire teaching of the Jedi is kind of wrong. Like he even bucks Yoda, where Yoda's like, "Hey, you can't save your dad. You got to give up on that. Like it's not going to work." He's like, "No, Yoda. There's still good in him. There's still light in him, and I'm going to go save him." Yeah. So I think Luke is like, his whole deal is he wants to teach people a way of the Force that is just kind of his own way, where it's like attachment only will strengthen you. And so if he picks the Mandalorian armor that was brought to him, it's like, I'll teach you the ways of the Force now because you believe in attachment. Like because you're attached to the world and attached to people, you're going to want to do good for them. And you're going to want to save people and use the Force in a good way because you have attachment to people in this world. And so I think that they're just setting us up for that kind of bait and switch storytelling where it's like, we think what the right answer is supposed to be. He chooses the wrong one and he's like, boom, now he's a Jedi. Like, I'm going to teach you how to make your own lightsaber because you didn't choose Yoda's.
Yeah, I like it. Can I tell you a crazy theory that I heard?
Yeah.
And I fucking love it. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible.
Alternative universe?
It's possible. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah. So at the end of Rebels, Ahsoka goes into like a pocket dimension. And what if what we're watching now is not the original universe? It's a different like timeline or whatever. And in this timeline, the sequels never happened.
That'd be great.
I think it would be so fucking crazy, dude. So like, if that was to be the case, it would mean that we're actually like following Ahsoka, and she's kind of the main character, if that makes sense. And everybody else is a different version of themselves. So that's why Boba's different. That's why Luke is different. He might never get to the stage where he betrays Ben Solo. Ben never turns into Kylo, never destroys the temple or whatever, or it does happen, but they just get a chance to redo the storyline and do it better. I think that would be kind of crazy.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because I was digging into this theory just because, I watched a YouTube video on it. And it's, the people who are doing this is because everyone thought that Ahsoka kind of died in the series, and she kind of was off. Like that's kind of how they left the series. Like you didn't see it, but it was kind of implied that she died, right? And then she's alive in this series. And then you also have the case of Yoda's lightsaber, which Luke has Yoda's lightsaber, but in the comic book, which is supposed to be canon, the lightsaber gets destroyed. It gets burned with all the other lightsabers.
Yes.
So like with those two ideas together, that's where like this theory comes from, right? There's enough changing in the canon that we might be in an alternate, like little pocket dimension.
Yeah.
Alternate timeline.
It's funny that you mentioned Yoda's lightsaber though, because I was watching something about that as well. And some people forget that there's an additional comic that shows Yoda finding the remnants of his old lightsaber, taking it to Dagobah and basically reconstructing it.
When was is this like a new comic or is this all Legends?
It might be a new comic, but I'm not too sure.
I think it's in the Darth Vader runs going on right now that Disney says are canon.
If it's the current run, then yeah, it's canon. But I'm surprised more people aren't talking about that if that's the case, because a lot of people are harping on about the comic where the saber is destroyed. So
yeah, I don't think they would do all this though. Like, I gotta be honest. Like, I know we all hate like the sequels or the sequel trilogy, but I'm telling you, when the prequel came out, people hated it.
Yeah,
like everyone on the internet hated it. Everyone on the message boards were railing against this. Everyone I knew that was Star Wars fans hated it, and now they're all beloved. I really think that given time, people are going to fall in love with the sequels. I'm not saying they're good. I'm not a fan of them. I'm saying, 6-7 years from now, people are going to they're going to love the sequels, bro. I feel that way about it. I really do.
Yeah. Really.
And Disney has so much money invested in those sequels, like in terms of them just being movies themselves and what they do at their theme parks with all of the stuff. Yeah, if they put this stuff into like a pocket dimension or they decanonize it, like
No, I don't.
That's tough.
You're 100% right. Like all the Galaxy's Edge stuff and everything that's going on IRL, and there's like the new kids of Star Wars now. They all worship Rey. They all love Kylo. That's their Star Wars. So yeah, you can't get rid of it. And you're right. Like people didn't. I loved the prequels. I was the right age, but a lot of people, and I know like family members and people that I knew like hated it. So many people hated it and still do. A lot of people still do. Like, this is the problem with the fan base. It's so divided. There's the original trilogy fans, there's the prequel fans, there's the sequel fans, and there's very few that like them all.
Yep.
And there's a lot of franchises that put out shit. Fucking Matrix, the last two movies were shit in my opinion. But it's not going to take the magic away from the first two movies. You just have two shit movies. And, I wasn't a fan of The Hobbit. I love Lord of the Rings. I thought The Hobbit was shit. So, you know what I mean? I'm not going to now not watch the new TV show because The Hobbit was shit. You know what I mean? I just accept that The Hobbit was shit and I don't watch them. I won't rewatch them, So
Yeah, I actually haven't watched The Hobbit.
I hated it. I hated The Hobbit, dude.
Well, the only thing I know that was like a positive out of the movies was that song that they sing together about the mountain.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that was a cool scene.
I don't know,
It was
bro.
a really good scene. I remember seeing that scene at the very least.
There was some
I
good
told
good action
everyone-
in the movies, but
Yeah.
they weren't good. Like the storylines.
I think they're
good.
worth a watch because there is some really great scenes in them, action wise, and there's
Yeah.
some really great acting in it too. It's just overall it just isn't a great trilogy. Like if they would have made it into like one movie, it probably works really well. But the fact they tried to do a trilogy, it just doesn't work that well.
I think that was one of the biggest things as well, like because obviously the original movies were based off 3 books, am I right? And The Hobbit, so the original author had 4 books out, right? Again, I might be wrong in some of this, but he had 4 books out. The Hobbit was 1 book, and then he had Fellowship, 2 Towers, and Return of the King. So they went and obviously, and maybe this is why I don't like it as much, but it was such a blatant cash grab to stretch out 1 book into 3 movies, and it just didn't work. It was just, I thought it was like the vast majority of it was so boring, and I think if you were, there probably is maybe an hour of good content on each of those movies, and if you were to compile all of the good content into one cut, I think it would make one good movie. I think you're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an absolute cash grab. So yeah, I think just the current state of Star Wars, I think we're going to have some really good TV now for the next couple of years, and I think that's going to ease the transition into the sequels. And it might make episode 7 maybe a little cooler when I truly think that we're going to get a Luke show. We're going to see him train a young Ben, and we might see Han Solo again and Leia again, all that sort of stuff, and we're going to get a lot of unanswered questions. Like, it's crazy that in the sequel trilogy, and especially during the first movie, they had the original actors all in that movie, and they didn't fucking put them together for one scene. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Leia together at all in the movie. And then obviously the tragedy with Carrie Fisher happened, and then they just fucked up Luke's character, and they killed Han. So it's like, it was just so many bad decisions. And now we have the opportunity to maybe see some storylines with all of these characters again, using technology. And I think that just kind of softens the blow for in a rewatch situation where you're coming up to a couple of shit movies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, could you imagine if they would have like in the original or in episode 7, if they would have had Han bring Rey to Luke earlier in the movie, and it's like, hey, like Ben needs you, like she needs you. You got to get off this rock. Like we need you.
Yeah.
And he
off.
still but he refuses him. And he's like, no, I'm not leaving. Like I'm not part of this. And he kind of explains his reason for it. Then Han and Rey leave. Han gets killed, right? And then Rey goes back. And like that
Luke is just full of regret then. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like why can't they do stuff like why do they do stuff like that, man? Fuck.
There's a deleted scene. I don't know if you've seen it. If you go onto Disney and go into like the extras in episode 8, there's a deleted scene with Luke where he hears of Han's death and he sits down in the middle of his little temple and like just breaks down. And it's like, why did they not put that in the movie? Like, you know, if you're not going to show us it, at least give us the reaction to his death.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just, oh, dude, so many mistakes.
Was there ever any true explanation as to why he tried to kill Ben? I understand that he had the premonition about, you know, what was to come. But when you start to see premonitions of things in the future, in some cases, like that's a form of the dark side influencing you. Am I not correct?
Foresight is actually a power. It is an ability from the Force that Jedi's can use. Yoda had it. Anakin had it. When Anakin turns into Vader, he loses that ability. Like when Obi-Wan chops him up, it's said that he actually loses his ability to see the future, which is why he doesn't know that Luke exists and Leia and so on, because he thinks they're dead. He never sees them actually be born. So it's interesting that Luke has that power as well, but we never saw it until then. It kind of is a bit ridiculous, like, because like even like Anakin is seeing it as he's still a Padawan. He has the power, you know, and like even Qui-Gon Jinn mentions it like straight away. Like, you know, he has a line in the first movie where it's like he can see things before it happens. It's a Jedi trait, you know. So like he had that his whole life. So I don't know why Luke would have it. And I think maybe they've kind of explained this in Mando, because you know the way Luke's like, let me help you remember. I think Luke's power is that he can just like jog people's memories or something, or he can read people's minds. And I think that's what he's done when he's like looking into Ben's head when he's dreaming or whatever, and he sees Ben's dark side, and then he turns on his lightsaber, but then like regrets what he does straight away, and that's kind of what breaks them. But
it seems like in that situation though, like it's sort of like, in my opinion, it's a dark side influence, because when you see the future and it terrifies you, that's fear. And I believe fear like is part of the dark side. Like having fear of losing things ultimately turns you to the dark side, which I think that they should have kind of used for Luke, because I know that they've scrapped the books in the extended universe, but Luke eventually becomes part of the dark side for a bit. He becomes influenced by Palpatine. Because like in the books, he's actually, Palpatine's I think is still alive, but like very much like in a dead state. But like like in a spirit, like he's instilling inside Luke and causing him to have problems. And then his children or like his family basically help him break out of that cycle and come back to the light. So like I thought it was really weird that they kind of put that in there and didn't make it seem like that's a really dark side kind of move to just try to kill your own family, because it just seemed weird. Like that's so much fear. Did he ever say that he was influenced by the dark side at that point though?
They definitely never brought up Luke and the dark side at all in this thing. I probably think they felt like going into the nuance of that power would be a little bit too much for the movie, right? For just a little scene. They just like they showed Luke was having a moment of weakness, right? Where he raised his lightsaber, but then he ended up not and putting it away and not going to swing. But still, from Kylo's perspective, his uncle was trying to slay him.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, absolutely.
Which is honestly like the most Rian Johnson thing ever. Like if you've seen any of his other movies, it's like he loves to show different versions of the same event. And so you see Luke's perspective, Kylo's perspective, and then actually what happened.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they do that in Spider-Man Far From Home, where you see that Mysterio's character, he's watching as Tony Stark is talking about Barf, and the audience was laughing. But if you watch the actual movie where he mentions Barf, nobody's laughing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's all in the perspective, which is a really good thing to see in movies, because you see that other people see things differently, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Did you see any of the talking about I know we were talking about deepfakes and stuff earlier. Did you see a few people have been posting updated like video of Cad Bane, where he's like
Yeah,
darker
I did see
blue
that.
and a longer face, and the hat's a bit bigger. And I think it's a like, bro, like how can they
It's
not do this? Like, like how can
Well,
I don't know. Like,
a couple of things. From Cad Bane, his species, as he gets older, they lighten up.
okay.
His skin actually gets lighter to show his age. Is one of their main characteristics. And I think
My
what
thought
they're
on that real quick was I thought maybe he was dehydrated from being in the desert, and I was like maybe when he when he goes inside and gets a meal and rest, he might turn out a bit more blue. It's actually a good cop out though. Like if they initial like reactions were quite negative on his look, right? And then they could turn around and say, "Oh, actually, yeah, he was dehydrated in the desert." Then they just make him bluer.
these motherfuckers
just shouting for water afterwards.
Yeah,
That dude looked amazing in there. So he's supposed to look older
He did look good.
because of that.
He's like he's 70.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, his face isn't as long, but I think that's them taking what the Clone Wars art style is and applying it to real life. Like, look at fucking Count Dooku. Like, the dude had like a Slim Jim of a face.
He had a
like,
horse face.
so shut up. Like, all these fucking, like, shut up. God damn, man.
Yeah.
These guys are never fucking happy with anything. And like, I'm someone who's not happy with a lot of the time. But like, you're complaining over the way, like because he wasn't as blue as you wanted him to be. Like, my God, man! They gave us one of the best live action, versions of an animated Star Wars character that we've ever seen. He looked better than Ahsoka. Like, I'm sorry, he looks better than Ahsoka.
Yeah,
like the dude looks menacing.
He does. I actually saw a clip of Ahsoka from Mando 2 and then Ahsoka from like this week's episode. And she looks like a lot older or something. Like she looks very different. I think in the Mando episode, the Ahsoka episode in Mando 2, she looked a lot different. I'm going to go back and rewatch that episode, I think, just to kind of see. But I don't know. It just kind of, there was a bit of a difference in the appearance between the two appearances.
Man, I gotta be honest about Luke's like deep faking too. I don't feel like I'm watching Mark Hamill during this episode. I don't think that looks like Mark Hamill, bro. Like I went back and watched the scene again. I don't think like just hire another actor because the deepfake you're doing doesn't look like him. I'm sorry, like that is not Mark Hamill on screen. I don't care like what they're trying to do or people think it. I don't believe it.
I really like it. I think it's great. Like what we're getting. We're able to unlock a character that has been locked away due to just not having content made while Mark Hamill was in his youth. And I think, I think it's a bit like a lot of the scenes were amazing. Some of it, like, there were like little like black spots or whatever that weren't amazing, but I think it's kind of nitpicking a bit, like, if I'm being honest. Like, I think what we're getting, the technology is so amazing and it's only getting better each year. Like that,
it's not even about it looking fake to me. It just doesn't even look like Mark Hamill. It looks like a whole other actor they're trying to deepfake on there to me.
I thought
it's got like
looked great.
It's a much darker complexion and they're really trying to make it seem like it's his face, but it's too shiny. Like it's much too shiny. Like it needs to be natural. Like they need to get a natural colored, deep fake on it. And I know that they hired that one guy. I don't know if you ever heard of Control Shift Face.
Yeah.
But that dude makes deep fakes. And those are some legit deep fakes. Like he spliced Willem Dafoe's face onto Jim Carrey's in The Cable Guy. And it looks just like Willem Dafoe's in there. Like it's insane. Like that guy has the algorithm down. This algorithm seems a little too soft. It's not constructed well enough. And when people talk, it really depends on like how much of a facial structure you get from the algorithm. Otherwise, like you just end up with very like robotic talking and it's not very lip synced. And so maybe they just don't have enough of Mark Hamill's old look to convey that. And so it just makes it really weird. So I don't understand why they don't just come out with an actor like everybody's wanting to pick up Sebastian Stan, right? Just do it. Like like whether he looks exactly like him or not, he's pretty close.
I think
Yeah, I agree.
he looks exactly like him if you put the wig on him and everything. Like, it's scary how much he looks like him. But I think they've chosen their route now. You know, I don't think you can bring him in now after you've done this. You know, I think we're going to get more deepfake Luke now in the near future, and it would just be strange if they went and brought an actor in after doing deepfakes for 3 years. You know, I don't know if it works.
All right, Finto, I'm sharing my screen with you.
Let's go.
You're trying to tell me these are the same? This is supposed to be the same person?
Well, there's... What is it?
Come on. No. No way. No way.
Yes, sir.
I don't care how much age is going on. There's no way those are the two same people. Just hire a fucking actor. Just put another actor in there.
Finto?
Get a picture of him from Return of the Jedi, though. Because
all right, stop sharing my screen, though, because I want to...
Oh, yeah. I think you have to stop, yeah.
Yeah, I turned
but no, like, I think because Mark Hamill himself was in a motorbike accident and his face changed a lot from New Hope, which is why they actually wrote the story of him getting attacked by that snow monster in the movie, because his face was deformed in real life. So I'd say if you get a picture of him from Jedi, and then he should have I think the plan is to age him 5 years from Jedi, you know. Because I think, what's the timeline? Is it like, I think is there like 6 months or something like that between the first movie and the second movie, and then there's like a 2-year jump to Jedi or something like that, if I'm remembering correctly.
I think you're right about that.
I think so.
All right, here we go again.
I haven't thought about the original trilogy in a long time.
We're up.
Bing.
There's no way, bro. Those are different people. Those are two different looks.
I think,
just hire,
dude.
If it's gonna be, just hire an actor.
I think it's so good, dude. I'm sorry.
It's not so good.
I think it is. I think it's so good.
It's amazing what they can do, but those guys look completely different, bro.
Are you telling me that you're looking at that picture on the left and thinking that that's not Luke Skywalker? Like, that doesn't look like Luke
100%. I would not think that's Mark Hamill there at all, especially if you were to watch the two shows side by side live. Not at all. The guy on the left looks like a fucking idiot, bro. That does not look like Mark Hamill. It just doesn't look like him.
Did you see that Hamill put out a picture or like a tweet, and he was like, "Oh, the hotel room I'm in right now doesn't have Disney Plus or whatever." And someone like wrote back to us, just like, "Oh, bro, wait till you see the episode. Wait till you see who shows up." So it's like he's like kind of saying that he hasn't been involved in it at all. Like, you know, I thought it was hilarious. We talked about this in our video. I don't know if you actually watched our video from this week, Alex. It's a long one, unfortunately. We had a lot to talk about, but I kind of mentioned in that video that I think that they should just use Mark Hamill's real voice and deepfake the face, not deepfake the audio. I think the audio is the biggest problem. You know,
I could have sworn they used his audio.
No,
they used his voice acting for that one.
No. It's all spliced audio from every word he's ever said during those movies. And
no, I feel like what they do is I think they have him record the lines right so they can get his cadence.
Yeah,
and then they run it through a program that pulls all the words from like a younger version of his voice.
Yeah, because they have like databases of every interview he did around the time of those movies and obviously all the audio from the movies themselves.
No. Hear me out. So Mark Hamill once again returns to voice the character, although his voice has clearly been digitally manipulated to sound younger. It is Mark Hamill. They just manipulated it.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's real.
I feel like
because
they have him
digitally changed.
Well, yeah, and I think they probably have him trying to match because he's done so much in animation. They probably have him trying to match the screen and what's on there. Versus him actually recording the lines first and then them animating around him. You know what I'm saying?
I think they but even if it was his voice though, like they should have like mapped the lip sync a little bit better, like because you could totally see it kind of go off here and there. And I know that's nitpicking, but like they could polish it.
It's big time nitpicking, guys. Like, it's honestly like, you know.
Oh, now we're nitpicking because Finto likes something. Okay.
No,
now we're nitpicking because Finto likes.
It genuinely is nitpicking because
I don't think it is.
The technology that we are getting, the storylines that we are getting, are incredible, and I just think that even like the last one,
they're incredible. But we could do it without this weird looking deepfake Like they could just hire an actor and it'd be fine. Like I want these stories. I want to see these, but I could not, like, watching it and going back and watching it, especially on higher fidelity TVs and stuff. You can just tell it fakes, and it takes me out of it. It ruins the experience a little bit for me when I see it. I'm sorry. I know it's very exciting to see Mark Hamill or someone that allegedly looks like Mark Hamill in this series. But if they would just hire another actor and give us the story, it would be just the same for me, if not better, because then we want to get this awkward dialogue. We want to get these awkward, where he can't really emote his face that well. He just looks dead. Like he literally looks dead inside when he's like there. Do you see him smile?
Just staring at Grogu.
He does smile. He does smile, but yeah, I know what you mean.
It's the creepiest smile ever.
Yeah.
And
He's like, he smiles like a person that you like don't want to be around. You know what I mean? You're like, all right, nieces and nephew, let's leave real quick. Let's get on the way. We're not going to hang out here.
Well, I know Hoffman. You and I watched Peacemaker. Remember when the actor tried to smile?
Yes. 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 Fucking, this isn't Luke. This is a butterfly Luke, bro. He doesn't know how to smile. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Vince says he just lost his dad. He barely even knew he had a fucking dad for his entire life, okay? Let's stop acting like him losing Vader is that big of a deal.
I would love to know, like, does he have like big interactions with Anakin's ghost now? I think Anakin's ghost has been training him for years, So I think it's a different story now than it would have been after, like, Return of the Jedi, like, Gabe mentioned his name being in the credits as well, and I think they genuinely have to probably put his name in because they're using his likeness, whether he does anything on it or not. I think Mark Hamill has to be credited for it anyway.
It's his voice. It's just digitally changed.
Yeah.
I think they're basically just deep faking his voice, where it's like he's the basis for it, and then they run the dialogue he put through the thing that pulls all the AI words from his past interviews.
Yeah, because for a younger Mark Hamill, he sounds like Luke. For an older Mark Hamill, he sounds like he's getting closer to Joker. So, like, I get it. I get why they have to digitally change it.
I think he could use his voice as it is now, and I think it would work. Genuinely, think it would work. I think it would be more natural.
But at the same time, Finto, you want a Luke show, right?
Yeah, we're gonna get one.
So this deep fake, is it going to run the whole way through? No, there's no way it's going to run this whole way.
I do.
There's no way.
Absolutely. It's only getting better every year as well. Like the jump from the first Luke to the second Luke that we've seen is night and day. And in 2 years' time, when they do another show, it's going to be even better. Guaranteed.
I mean, it does look better, but when he showed up in the end of Mandalorian, I thought I was looking at Mark Hamill. And I swear I did not feel that way when I was watching this one. I felt like I was watching a different actor playing Luke Skywalker. I really did. And I think the technology is getting better. And if they do another like huge leap like this, then the show might be all right. But I also think it's a case where they're learning how to work with that technology better. Where they're, I watched a video where the guy was getting into it about how they are writing the dialogue to fit what they could do with the puppeteering of this character, to where they're not using certain words. Because they can't make it look good on his face, right? And so I think if we're in that scenario, and if the technology just doesn't really improve, I cannot make it through an entire season of this type of technology, because it still is. It almost ruined the episode just in terms of it feeling weird and feeling off. Like, it takes me out of it, man. It takes me out of it.
I don't know. Like, I just think like what the technology and what we're getting and where it's going, I think anything is going to be possible. Like, genuinely, I think they could do Marvel movies now with Chadwick Boseman if they wanted. Like, I think that's where we're getting. Like, you could literally deepfake Chadwick Boseman. Like,
well, Finto, have you seen Control Shift Face?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, play a video if you want.
I'll just show you like a small amount of it. That's all I want to do. It's like superb. This is Jeff Goldblum being like superimposed with Rami Malek. Like, it gets very similar. Like, it looks a lot like you can still tell a little bit that it's a deep fake, but you could see all the, like, just the changes that are made, because they have so much of the algorithm of the character's face. Like they take it from left all the way to right. And I don't know why they're not doing that for Luke's character. Like I'm pretty sure they have tons of Mark Hamill from like the young scene to the old scene.
It's yeah, see, it's kind of hard though when you're doing something like this, right? Because what they're doing is they're like you're using new footage of a new actor, right? You're not actually using the same footage. Like, so if you were, I would be curious to see what his like take on a young Jeff Goldblum in new footage would be like, if that makes sense.
Right,
Because,
like a de-aged, but
yes.
like it's so tough.
Well, like even like Shamook, like we saw everything that he did with putting like Harrison Ford into Solo, and it looked as good as that. It was perfect, right? And that's because you're using footage of a new person and old footage. You're just layering it over their face or whatever. Whereas what they're trying to do in Star Wars is they're trying to actually bring new footage to life and act out new scenes, but use an old face rather than doing it the other way around. You know. So I think it's a much more difficult task with what they're trying to do on The Mandalorian than it is in those videos.
I'd also be interested to see that control shift face on like a big like a real TV, because when I watched the episode of Boba Fett on my computer, I didn't really notice it being that big of a problem of the deepfake, right? Like it looked a little bit more real. And then when I watched it on my actual TV out in my living room, that's where I felt like it kind of fell apart for me.
Maybe the pixel density wasn't enough, and so like it just kind of showed off a little bit of the areas of the neck, like because as it gets closer to like the neck regions or even near the hair, you'll see it kind of fall off, and then near the mouth, if it's not lip sync perfectly, you're gonna notice it. So yeah, I could see how that can be a difficult challenge. But I mean, all these hoops that they're going over, like they're jumping through so many different hoops, like flaming hoops, for no reason, when they could just get a new actor.
Yeah.
And just have him play him.
Yeah. I think, Star Wars have done it, they've done the deep fake stuff with bringing back Tarkin and stuff in Rogue One, and that was, I thought, great. And the technology was fucking shit back then. Like, I felt like I was watching a computer game when I was watching that in the movies, right? But again, I didn't care because it's Tarkin back and he had more time. I thought it was fascinating that he had more screen time in Rogue One than he did in the original Star Wars movie. And he's been dead since 1994. So I was just kind of blown away by that I'm not breaking it down that much. I'm just enjoying what I'm seeing, Whereas then they go down the route of hiring Donald Glover to play Lando, right? So it's like, okay, they're recasting now, but are they deciding not to recast such a pivotal character like Luke Skywalker? It's like going back and telling stories from before Robert Downey Jr. became Iron Man, but recasting, even though it's like, say, story that were missed between Iron Man 2 and 3 or something like that. Like, that's kind of like what you're kind of suggesting. You just hire a new actor to play a storyline in between movies where we had Mark Hamill here. Let's just get somebody else to play him in the middle, like.
Right. Well, think about it, Finto. Like, remember Iron Man 1 when we had Terrence Howard? Now we have Iron Man 2 and it's Don Cheadle.
Yeah, but that's different. Like,
it's not different. It's the same thing. Like, you just have a different character that look like a different actor that looks similar to that character. That can just play that character.
They look nothing alike.
And did anyone really complain?
Everybody did. Everybody had a lot to say about it at the time. It was a big deal that they had to even talk about it in the fucking movie, like.
Right, and they told him to get over it, right?
I hate Don Cheadle, but yeah.
But not for nothing, if you take it back to the Luke example, we're not talking about, they did something now where it's like they cast someone other than Robert Downey Jr. to fill in a story in between those 2 points of Iron Man 1 and Endgame. That's like a 10-year period. With Luke, we're talking about 40-ish years, bro. We're talking about from like 1980 something all the way to like 2018 or 17, I think it was released. The Last Jedi. That's a much, much bigger jump than doing it now. And man, I think hiring a new actor that looks like him would be a much better, would serve the overall product better and would serve the story better.
I
And it would be a
Yeah.
better performance. The performance suffers. And I'm excited to see Luke, but I'm not going to let my excitement of seeing a character take away from the fact that I want to watch something that has a good performance and is a good TV show and like really moves me and and that engages me as a viewer, other than just like trying to be like, oh, remember when you were a kid and your life was full of love? Look, it's Mark Hamill. Like they're preying on that for this, and I would rather them deliver a better product in the end, not just do fan service.
Right. And it's much like what's going on with Black Panther right now. I know that Chadwick Boseman passed away, and we're all very sad about that, and we all think that like he was one of the greatest T'Challa characters of all time. But even his brother was saying like, just move forward, have a new face. Like we need Black Panther, we need T'Challa.
Mm-hmm.
It's man, like it's just it's so groaning, because it's like you're taking too much effort to try to like relive old things or try to like rehash old things when you can pick these new aspiring actors or even like veteran actors that look similar to the old ones. Like you can make it look seamless without having to like use all this digital work.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
agree.
Don't know. It's. I think the Luke thing is just it's a special case just because the character is just so iconic, and I'm not talking about the real world. I'm talking about the timeline of the story, and the timeline of the story is 5 years, right? So that's, I don't care how old Mark Hamill is, but they want to use Mark Hamill, but they have to use Mark Hamill who's 30 instead of 25 when he was in the movie or whatever, you know what I mean? So that's why I think that's why they've chosen to do it, because they're like, it's only 5 years from when we last saw Luke. If we hire a new actor, it's gonna feel weird. Which I think, I love Sebastian Stan, and I think he would do a fantastic job. I would love to see it, but I kind of at the same time I understand why they've chosen to do this. Just because of exactly who Luke is. Like I think it's a hard pill to swallow if someone as iconic as Luke Skywalker gets recast, especially when they do have the technology and ability to do it. Yes, it doesn't look 100%, but it looks fucking 98. I think it's close enough, like where we're going to get the stories, the justified stories that we have, like we deserve as fans, and we get to see them as the fucking character that we grew up loving. I think a lot of people would have a problem if they recast Robert Downey Jr. As Tony Stark, and it was that version of Tony Stark and not a variant and all this bollocks. But if it was actually just him, I think it would be the same thing. It would be the same discussion. Like, why don't we just fucking de-age or whatever, or deep fake, or Marvel would probably make the same decision.
With they've kind of done that already. They have, with Iron Man, but I think it's much more that Disney and Lucasfilms really wants this technology developed, and it costs a lot of money to develop this type of stuff. And I think that they're throwing Luke Skywalker in these, and they don't want to recast him because it gives them the reason to put the research and development into the technology. It gives them a budget to do it with versus us getting a better end product right now, because the technology is getting there, but it's not there yet. Like, it looks good. It's technologically amazing what they can do, but it's not 100% there yet. So,
yeah. But I go back to the point that I'll take 98% to get the Luke stories that I've wanted since I was 7 years old. I'll put up with a little bit of lip sync and him sounding a little robotic.
But I think they could just. I think you could get those stories with someone else. I really do, and I think it would be just as good, if not better, than what they're doing now. Because those scenes with Grogu weren't as good as they could have been.
Yeah,
I feel like those scenes with Grogu fell flat, and that's why I like the episode 5 more than I did episode 6 of this series. Is because a lot of those scenes just felt flat. It was two puppets talking to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. 100%.
Do you guys want to talk about Peacemaker at all?
Do you really want it? Peacemaker. Peacemaker's it's good. It's cruising at a really great level, right? Like it's fun, it's exciting, but I feel like it's kind of spun its wheels for the last 3 episodes. I don't feel like we've really gotten that much further in the storyline than the first couple of episodes like really was driving. Like we went to here, we went to there, we went to here, and now we've kind of been in the same place, but it gets more ridiculous. Like wait till you watch the last scene of this.
Yeah,
fucking dude, it's one of the craziest scenes I've ever seen on TV, bro.
Amazing.
It's so good. Wild how good it is.
I can't wait.
Like, James Gunn is a freak, dude.
I can't wait. Yeah, like I think I was very curious watching. Obviously, I think it was the first 3 that Gunn directed, or the first 2. I was watching very closely when it was the first one. I think it was episode 4 was the first one that he didn't direct. And 4 felt to me like it didn't really drop off too much. 5 was a little slow. It was a bit of a filler episode, and I haven't seen 6 yet, so I don't know. But sounds like it was kind of maybe on par with 5, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, look, I kind of had a feeling that maybe the show might have just plummeted the second James Gunn wasn't behind the camera, but it seems to hold up. Like it's good. It's really entertaining.
Yeah, I just, I still don't think we have the butterfly plot fully developed and like the whole reasoning behind the butterflies and stuff. And I wish we would have been there already with the series. It feels like they're just kind of holding that back a little bit. And that's why we're not getting ahead in the plot and the story where I felt like we probably should have been. Because I want to know what's going on with other people too,
Yeah. And they seem to drag it. Like you said, Hofmvn, it's kind of dragging so that you kind of get used to some of the characters, but we're already kind of used to them. Like, so at this point now, like, drive it forward. Let us know what the real plot is. Give us like what we need, because we're still kind of like, what the hell is going to happen now?
Yeah.
So without spoiling it for me, is there a reference to a Justice League member in this episode, like there kind of has been in all of them? 2?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and they talk, and there's another scene where they briefly mention like stuff in the DC universe as a whole that has nothing to do with like the heroes.
Okay.
It's kind of like the DC like world, right?
Yeah.
That kind of feels cool. I don't know. It's the first episode that I think Vigilante was actually there. The guy who was cast, because I think I talked about this, where the guy who's cast as Vigilante he replaced somebody, like an old actor who wasn't liking where the character of Vigilante was going. He didn't agree with James Gunn. So they recast him, and then they just kind of like digitally put the new guy over him, like cut it. So if you kind of look, like sometimes his head kind of feels like it's floating, not with his suit, right? And then most of the scenes he's talking in, he's not really on screen with anyone else. And this feels like the first episode where it's like he was the Vigilante now, and like he's actually talking in scenes with characters, like him and Peacemaker on the screen together talking at each other.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that. That's nuts.
Jeez. Imagine leaving the cast and then getting guillotined.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. That's like, it's impressive filmmaking. And I think, it kind of reminded me of that Zack Snyder movie, the zombie one, because the way was it? Did one of the characters, did she die or something in real life, or was she fired?
No.
Or I can't remember. Something happened where. Oh, sorry. The Crystalia thing happened. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
They had to replace.
Oh, yeah.
They had to replace Chris. Yeah, that was crazy, bro. Like, they brought her in, and she was shooting scenes by herself, and she was, like, overlapping and stuff like that, and, like, it looked seamless to me, like, but it's not until you know, and then you watch it again, and you're like, oh my god, it's so obvious now. But, like, such a class... like filmmaking trick, like to get somebody in there that wasn't even there. Like, she didn't shoot any scenes with any of the cast, like Batista or anything like that. It's just wild, dude. It's so cool. Like, I was blown away by it. So, man, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch some of those Vigilante scenes, because I didn't know that at all, and I'm probably gonna see it clear as day now.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
there's a couple that's like really funny. Once you notice it, you're like, oh, okay, like he really is off screen, talking to people, or like no one else is on the screen with him.
Yeah, it's clever. It's clever.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a good episode. Like, it's hard. It's like, because the story's not going like as far as it could be going. right? It's like it's not hitting new highs, but it's still staying at that like 9. You know, it's like 9 out of 10. It's just consistently really amazing. And James Gunn, he comes back to direct this episode, and he just nails it. He's great at it, man. Fuck, the series is so good.
Nice.
Yeah, I really feel like we're at the point of the amusement park where we finally reached the front of the line. We're getting into the roller coaster, and we're gonna start going up the ramp to get to that drop, to get to that thrill.
Yeah.
So like the next episode is definitely gonna like hit hard.
How many episodes are there again? Is it 8?
Yes.
Okay, so that was 6. So yeah, only 2 left.
Yeah, we're right there.
Yep.
I wonder what's going to happen after it, because I know he's expressed doing another series about another villain. So, I would love to see him do Deathstroke or something. Oh my god, could you imagine? Like that'd be
Oh my god,
that'd be wild, dude. Wild. And I don't know, I don't know who else you could do, but like something like that would be crazy. I don't know, do they do Peacemaker 2? Probably after the success of it, they probably just keep it going. And I presume he'll be involved just because he's going out with your one in it. Like, so, yeah, I think we're in for a few seasons of greatness with that one.
I wonder if he's gonna try to get his brother in for like Weasel.
I always love James Gunn, man. He gets the family working, you know?
Yeah.
True.
I think Peacemaker 2 would be great because I think they would add in like other bigger characters than Vigilante. They would have like 2 or 3 kind of more mainstay superheroes in it rather than just those 2.
They shouldn't have killed Boomerang, and they could have used him or something yeah. I'm still shocked at how quickly he died in Suicide Squad. It was so wild, dude. I just could not believe it. I remember turning to my girlfriend when we were watching. I was like, "Oh my god, Boomerang's dead already!" I was like, "We're only watching the movie for 5 minutes." Like, I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" It was crazy.
Oh man,
absolutely crazy. And Nathan Fillion as well. He was like hyping up that movie for about 2 years, and the fucker was in like 30 seconds of like shot. Like, I just couldn't. Again, another one I couldn't believe. I was like, Nathan Fillion is going to be in this movie, and I was like, holy shit, he's like he's talking it up so much. He must be in like half the movie or something, and he was in a solid 2 minutes.
I love him. What a
I love him. I love him as well. He's a legend. But I just couldn't believe that. Again, it was another one that kind of shocked me.
Definitely one of the most amazing introductions to all of the Suicide Squad ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that moment when Weasel falls out and they didn't realize he couldn't swim.
Yeah. That was so funny, dude. So good. Is there anything else? We're kind of at 2 hours, so I think that maybe might be a little breaking point.
See the Sony announced the Madam Web's movie?
I did. And like we've kind of known it was coming anyway, but I think there's rumors that what's her name, Dakota Johnson from 50 Shades or whatever, she's being cast. I thought they would have cast somebody like older to play her, but maybe they're doing like a kind of origin or something. But I've always kind of known Madam Web as like an old woman, like, so it's kind of strange that they're casting Dakota Fanning is a rumored cast for it. Yeah, I love it, dude. I love it. I want to see the Spider-Verse just grow and grow. I don't know if you saw Boss Logic put out a kind of theory that he was saying, like, because the way between Into the Spider-Verse 1 and 2, the animation style completely changes. So imagine if they do like a Spider-Verse 3 or Spider-Verse 4, because they're doing part 1 and 2, so maybe a Spider-Verse 4, that at the end of the movie it turns into live action, and that's how they cast the MCU version of Miles, because he goes into the MCU, the 616, as he's like hopping through the multiverse, and then he is himself, but you know what I mean, it's a live action version. And then that'd be a crazy fucking part to bring back in Toby's as Peter B. Parker. I think that'd be so sweet, dude. Like,
yeah, actually,
that'd be great.
It would. I think that'd be so good. It'd be such a kind of whoa moment, because I think a lot of people don't realize that is actually Toby's Spider-Man. So it's wild. It's wild. I love it. I think it'd be great.
I feel like Sony is gonna be the one to ruin this whole superhero thing. How we were talking at the very top of the podcast about it being kind of oversaturated. I feel like Sony's going to be one to ruin it for everyone, you know? Like, here's 50 Spider-Man things, and nobody wants to see Spider-Man anymore.
True. Well,
Gotta milk it.
if they're gonna bring out like 6 or 7 Spider-Man projects and they're gonna make them to the quality that they're making these Venom movies, it's gonna be a disaster. But I have high hopes for the likes of like Craven. I think it'll be cool. The Morbius movie does look good, and the fact that Kevin Feige will be lending his creativeness to the Spider-Man projects going forward, I think they kind of have a bit of a safety net there. Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige work just tremendously well together. You know what I mean? So I think the two of them should be able to recreate at least half the magic of No Way Home over at Sony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really think so. Like, I think at this stage as well, like, Sony and Marvel are so kind of partnered up at this stage that I would not be surprised if, like, production on an MCU Spider-Man movie kind of looks similar to a production on a Sony Spider-Man movie at this stage, where they're probably using a lot of the same cast and crew, you know? I just think the collaboration is there. So I just really hope that, you know, and I think a true test of this will be the next Venom movie. If the next Venom movie is good, I think that is proof that Feige's getting involved and he's making positive changes. I think it'll be a real test. Whereas if the third Venom movie is shit, then alarm bells will be ringing in my head anyway.
Yeah.
I know that they've been going in the direction of like silliness for Venom, but I really would love for them to, like, for Feige to be like, you know what, let's push into the darkness. Let's get him to have like a more tragic moment to where like he pretty much becomes a villain, you know, afterwards.
I think they should get, because you know the way he speaks about going to find Spider-Man, right? Maybe he moves to New York in the third one, right? And starts working at the Bugle, meets Peter Parker, Peter gets him fired, and then he starts to kind of hate Peter Parker, and then, you know, you have the hero versus the villain sort of thing, and then that's how you develop the character or something. Let him have that tragedy and have hate for somebody, and then when Venom is in the mix, and obviously the hive mind remembers who the other Peter Parkers and stuff are, you know, like, I think that has the kind of chemistry to maybe make it work. Who knows?
I'm hoping
so too, because like the
Venom
last thing's
going to be awful.
I think so too. I think so too. The first two were horrendous. Like, one and done, baby. One and done. I'll never rewatch them. It's one and done.
I fell asleep during them too. So it's like
I will always give them the benefit of the doubt, though.
I paid more attention to my bowl of nachos than I did the actual movie.
God for the nachos.
Oh, stop, dude. It was the best part of the film. Guys, thanks for hanging out tonight. It was a great one.
Marvelous chat, sir.
A marvelous chat as always. We'll see you next week. We'll be talking about the finale of Boba, so we can do a kind of full review of the series. Hopefully it ends on a high. I think it will. I think we're going to see some real cool shit in the finale, like, you know, bounty hunter versus bounty hunter. I think we'll get like Bosk will show up and stuff like that. Like, so I think it's going to be very cool. I think it will be very cool. And then hopefully we have another good episode of Peacemaker to talk about as well. Keep an eye out for some Marvel news as well. Hopefully we get some Marvel news during the week.
They got to do something, bro. We've been in a dry spell here, bro. It's like,
one thing actually I just want to ask before we go. When is the Super Bowl?
Oh, 2 weeks.
Is it next Sunday? Yeah. Is it next Sunday?
I have no idea, but apparently I heard today that there's going to be a new Doctor Strange 2 trailer aired at the Super Bowl for like during the halftime show or whatever, and they're going to be doing a sizzle reel of like Disney stuff that's to come. So we might get new footage from the likes of She-Hulk, Moon Knight, you know, the all the shows that we kind of saw the quick clips of. I think we're going to get an updated sizzle reel from that. So that will be something to talk about, but that might not be for 2 weeks, as you're saying. So
yeah, it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'll be very interested to see another trailer for Doctor Strange, to be honest. I wonder.
Yeah, normally MCU tries to capitalize on news like every week, even when they don't got stuff coming out. They try to like, and they've just been they've been down right now. I guess it's because February, right? They feel like they got a little bit of time to spare, but
yeah,
I mean, it's given it's giving, Star Wars and Peacemaker a little bit of wiggle room though, so that way they're not overshadowed by all of the exciting news about what's to come. We're able to focus now on Star Wars for at least a little bit, and then that I think that's why they're going to do the Super Bowl sizzle reel, because Boba Fett's done that week, and then they're like, okay, time to get back into Marvel.
Yeah. I really do think that there is a kind of Disney schedule that Star Wars have to play ball with and Marvel have to play ball with, because I think when they first started doing the shows, didn't they change? They changed Marvel to midweek, and they gave Star Wars the Friday because they were both on Fridays and they didn't want to air them at the same time. So I think they moved Loki to Wednesdays. That was the first time they did it, because Bad Batch was on, and like Bad Batch, as bad as it was, is such a draw for so many Star Wars fans. You know what I mean? It was massive numbers for them, so they didn't want to have two shows on the same day, so that's why they moved it to midweek. So it seems like the both of them have to listen to what Disney want. Basically, I don't think one is more powerful than the other, because you would think that Marvel have all the power, I would have thought, but they got shifted to Wednesday. So, and I love the Wednesday. I love the Wednesday for Marvel, to be honest. I think it's great.
I think the Wednesday's a better time slot than a Friday. Friday's a rough night for TV because people go out and stuff,
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, midweek is the way. Absolutely.
Was Bad Batch a big success for them? Did they get huge numbers for that?
Viewership-wise, it was at the beginning anyway. I think it fizzled out during the series. The series got really bad in the middle. I think there was like maybe 3 good episodes of it altogether out of like 17. It wasn't great at all.
17 episodes?
I think there was, yeah. I think it was high enough, like 14 or 17 or something.
Be fired.
But the first episode was fucking great. Really good. So it had an amazing start. And then I think they had to reshift Loki because of that, because they probably thought it was going to keep going that way for the whole series. But I think most Star Wars fans gave up kind of 5 or 6 episodes in. I stopped watching them and I started watching like Star Wars Theory, just kind of recapping the episodes. I was like, that's enough for me. Like, I'll just listen to him talk about it for 10 minutes. Like, I don't need to watch the episodes,
they don't even deserve your viewership anymore.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, and now they're doing season 2 of it as well. Like, there was an episode of it, I think, that had Cad Bane and Fennec Shan, which was a cool episode. And I think that is going to tie into the finale of Boba. I think it's going to, might be a good idea to watch that episode, find out which episode that is, and maybe watch it, because like they actually had the actress who plays Fennec. She actually did the voice for the animated series as well. Like, so, and I think it's the same guy who does the voice for Cad Bane as well. So like, it's them. So it's obviously canon. Like, so it could be an interesting one to maybe catch up on before the finale. I was thinking about rewatching Solo as well, because I really think Crimson Dawn are going to come into the finale as well. So
yeah,
and I've only seen Solo once, so I'm thinking I might watch Solo tomorrow or Sunday over the weekend while I have some downtime.
It's a good goddamn movie, man.
I'm excited to watch it again, because I've only seen it the one time.
It's totally worth it. Like, dude, I seriously, if anyone's not a Star Wars fan and they're like, what do I start with? Go watch Solo. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to get too deep with anything. There's no new concepts in terms of like magic powers or lightsabers. It's just like, it's a heist movie.
Yeah.
It's a sci-fi heist movie. And it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I actually saw somebody in another stream I was in said a Star Wars fan came in and said, a guy came in and said, I've never seen Star Wars before, where do I start? And people were like, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, the way that they were released, and someone said start with Rogue One, and I'm like, Rogue One is like probably the best, like it's probably the best Star Wars movie ever, but at the same time, it's like you're going from that greatness, right, to then watching Episode 4, which is like the toughest watch in my opinion, because it's so long ago. It was like filmed in 1976, so you know what I mean. It's like such an epic start to then go to like such a like bad second movie, I think. So I would nearly tell a new fan to watch it in the release order, because that's how most Star Wars fans have seen the movies, in release order. Like even me, when I was a child, I was given the first movie. One of my uncles gave it to me and was like, watch this movie, tell me what you think of it. I was like 7 years old, gave it to me on a VHS. I watched it like 20 times and gave it back to him. And I was like, thanks for showing me that movie. It's amazing. And then he goes, here's the next one. I didn't know another one existed.
Oh,
And it was just like, I was like,
Exciting.
there's another one? And, you know, watch that movie. Obviously, that movie blew my mind with like Vader versus Luke and everything. And then gave it back to him again after watching it about 20 or 30 times. And then he's like, here's the next one. And I was like, oh my God, there's another one. You know, like, again, I was so young like that. I didn't obviously think about it, but like just that magic of having them, and then me being like, say, 10 years old, and episode 1 comes out, and just to be blown away by the CGI and everything. I think that is the way to watch them, because you're watching the technology, the characters develop, and the story develop, instead of like jumping into Rogue One, which is like one of the best fucking movies ever, and then having to go all the way back to 1977. You know, it's tough.
yeah.
And watching like Obi-Wan versus Vader, like you're like, what the fuck is this?
And I think like the mystery of everything works for it in a really great way. Like episode 4, 5, and 6 work really well because there is mystery to what came before.
Yeah.
And like I think if you go in knowing all the stuff that came before, like Vader isn't as intimidating.
Yeah.
You know, like you know who Vader is if you've watched the first 4.
True.
And so, or the first 3 or 4, I guess, with Rogue One.
Yeah.
Like you know who Vader is, so you know the reveal of Luke, the menacing nature of Darth Vader is kind of shot for you because you know who he is.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Would you
Go on.
would you ever consider watching it in terms of 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and then 6?
4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and then 6. Why would
Yeah,
you do it like that?
So you watch 4 and 5, you get an introduction of, you know, all the characters from 4, you watch all of the things that are occurring in 5, and then you see that at the very end, you know, no, I am your father, and then you get the end credits of that. Then you go back to 1 and do 1 through 3, because then you see all the prequels
I see
leading
where
up to
your
the
head
point
is
where
now.
he becomes Vader.
I see where your head
And
is
then
now, yeah. That's cool.
And then episode 6 is like the redemption.
So you
kinda
don't
like
you don't
finale.
know what happens to Vader, but you're going back and watching his childhood and him being a Jedi and stuff. Yeah. That's very interesting, dude. I like that. Yeah, because like if at the end of Empire you don't know what happens, you know, you don't know that he's going to redeem himself at the end and so on. Like anything could happen. So yeah, that is actually a really interesting watch order. I've never heard that before. That's very interesting.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Well done.
Well
A little
done.
proud of myself.
Yeah, well done. Do a Cad Bane tip of the hat there, sir. You deserve it. Guys, fantastic cast. Thank you so much for being here. If you're listening on YouTube or Spotify, just make sure you follow if you like what we're doing, and we'll see you next week for more. Bye-bye.
Later, everybody.
Later,
Bye.
everybody.